It is that night. It's Friday night in New York, guys. 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to kick off that gaming weekend, guys. It's outstanding to have everybody here. Please, guys, let me know how the audio, the video, everything's looking for you guys on the other end of this. Just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. I know there's a lot of games that are coming out this week. We're going to get into those games. We're going to discuss a lot of different things that are going on. A lot of news broke. I see a lot of great people, by the way. Shout out to your boy, Roy. I see Ice Queen Gaming. I see the great Zuby Tech is here. Zuby, thank you so much. Andy Hart. The great Jimmy Harrison's here. Guys, there's so many people ghosting you. Guys, do me a favor. Please take a few seconds. I've put it in the chat. You guys know all the buttons to hit. Hit the like button. Please tweet it out. Let everybody know what's going on. We do have another 2 guests that are going to be joining us, but they're just wrapping up another show. So I thought we'd just do the introductions and kind of get started on a couple of great gaming topics before we get into today's major topics. That being said, guys, right above that description, you'll see the join button. If you guys will, please consider joining the Mooch Maniac family members. It really does help the channel immensely. It really, really does. I'm going to call these guys out one by one because I truly appreciate it and everything that we've been able to do. And I have actually, we talked about this around the holiday time frame, and I just haven't gotten a chance to meet up with Jay. Shout out to Jay Matrix. That's at Jay Matrix 76. He's going to help me actually set something up, and we do have a Xbox Series S to give away here on the channel. So, guys, stay tuned for that. I really want to kind of do that through the month of April. I think April will be the month we give that away. So, guys, stay tuned. And, guys, thanks so much to the great Mooch Maniac family members, the great Sir X Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Night Ripper 7, Big Chuck 777, Alfonso Carter, Brap, Jamie, Dad of War, Damien, CJ UK, the great Jimmy Harrison who's here, Zambila Ice Cream, I appreciate it. Our major Mooch Maniacs, Domino Zero, you guys might know him as the great Sean Slopka from before, Supreme Samurai, Who Are You 5, your boy Roy, Smokes 901, Tactical Gamer, Gaming with Persona. Shout out to Persona, by the way, guys. Persona and Bari doing What's Up PlayStation tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I believe it's on Persona's channel this week, but check Persona or Bari's Twitter for information on that. Shout out to Danelle Brown, that guy Smitty, 4-star General, Prime B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs. You guys mean so much to me. Guys, thank you so much. Shadow Assassin, Fork Boy Gaming, Marty Bison, Rated D Demonic, Strictly! Shout out to Strictly. Strictly's out there doing his thing, by the way, today out on Twitter. Shout out to Strictly. The Wise Old Gamer, Remarkable Knights, Percolator 9000. Pardon me, guys. That's the great Percolator 9000 to all you guys. And our honorable mentions, we miss you guys, Slaying Chalet and Brian Carter, Lady Foxfire, and our forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. And let's just go ahead and take a second. Let's just take a quick second here and thank Andy Hart. Andy, welcome to the family, buddy. Thank you so much for joining the channel today. That means a lot to me. Guys, we got a great panel here. And like I said, we've got 2 more guys coming. They're just wrapping up a podcast. They're going from a podcast to a podcast, which is not easy to do. I just want to put that out there. That's not easy to do. It's exhausting. Let's say this much. This man thinks he's got his work cut out for him. I don't think he does, but he can handle any crowd, anytime. The great Crap Gamer is with us tonight. Crap. Can't wait to hear what you got to say tonight, buddy.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be here.
It is.
Exciting to talk video games and, just always fun to kind of shoot the breeze with everybody. So what's up, panel? Hopefully everybody's doing good. What's up to the crowd? Make sure you guys like the video and share it out and all that kind of good stuff. Appreciate you guys getting here. Let's get some subscribers and some likes. Let's go. Interesting topics tonight, so it should be fun.
Appreciate that, Crap. I really do. Shout out to the great Jeff Grubbs Game Must, by the way. Jeff, everybody, it's a delayed birthday, but Jeff had a birthday this week, so shout out to Jeff Grubb. Jeff, just so you know, I have 12 topics that I sent out to the panel. 12. I promised you 5. That's what I'm doing for your birthday gift. That's the best I can do from this far away. So shout out to Jeff Grubb. Appreciate you being here. The great Worry Wart Gaming, by the way. Worry Wart had a great podcast earlier this week as well. But guys, great to see everybody here. Everybody's just rolling in. Guys, please do tweet it out. Let everybody know we're live. That being said, I've got my buddy here. You guys know him as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. But tonight only, he's going to be asking everybody on the panel and you for $10 to support his gaming habit. The great Brap is back. Brap, a lot of people missed you last week, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man, I'm excited to be back.
Yeah.
Took a week off, went out of town.
You're refreshed.
Look,
yeah,
I'm refreshed, but I need $10.
That's fine. I think
so anyone out there, donate me $10. I need it.
Shout out to Worry Ward. He goes 12. You guys are nuts. Worry, will be if we get. I have to get to 5. I have to get to 5. We're not going to get past 5. Don't worry about it. It's not going over 2 hours, guys. Trust me. That'll be great. So that being said, I've got a couple special guests here. 2 more on the way. Let's say shout out to my buddy Merc305. Merc, let me tell you something. There's a couple of guests that we've had on the show before that have quite the immense schedules. Merc, you are a busy man. So I got to say, it is an honor to have you back on the show, buddy. I want to have you on the show even more. Really value your opinion. How you doing this evening?
Hey, great. I appreciate the invite. Yes, I'm very busy. I know you are too, Mooch. But man, anytime I can clear the schedule to be here to share thoughts, talk gaming with the panel and chat. Hey, man, it's always a good time, man. Appreciate the invite.
Always, Merc. Thank you so much. And then my buddy's back here. It's great to have BG back with us. You guys know Broken Games HDR. BG, to be honest with you, man, it's just great to get your takes. Every single day on Twitter. If anybody doesn't follow BG, do that right now, by the way, please. His hot takes are hysterical. They're truthful. And I think a lot of times the reason I kind of get a chuckle out of them is I'm thinking the exact same thing. And I think we're going to get into a lot of the topics that BG's been talking about all week, and I've been talking about all week on tonight's show. So, BG, welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing this evening?
I'm good. Thanks for the invite. Good to be here. Weapon Wheel Podcast on Sundays. I'm the host. And, ready to talk.
Absolutely, BG. And I got to be honest with you. I'm going to go to you first here, BG, on the games. And then I know that tonight, as the kind of topics kind of transpire, you're really going to kind of, I think you're going to go in on a couple of things here. Let's start with the first things first. You were very fortunate and rightfully so to get a review copy for Ghostwire Tokyo. And this is a game that I originally thought I was quite interested in. And then when we saw the state of play, it really didn't resonate well with me too much. You know what I mean? It just, something was missing. It felt like something wasn't there. And I don't know what it was, because these are the former developers of The Evil Within, Evil Within 2. And I actually like The Evil Within 2 quite a bit. And they're stepping out of that horror, and they're going more into this, well, maybe I don't want to put words into the game's mouth, but something like that kind of sci-fi kind of thriller. So, BG, we'll start there. What was your take going into Ghostwire Tokyo after you saw it on State of Play, and then the fact that you played it and you did your review? I saw the review, but really want the audience to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to think of it either when I saw the State of Play. It was one of those games where it's like, still can't tell what the hell this game is,
right? Even
though they showed 15 minutes of it. And I'm a big fan of Evil Within, so I was like actually upset when we learned that this game started out in the early phases as Evil Within, but they kind of changed lanes and essentially made a new IP, and we got this. So the game is pretty much a supernatural Japanese BioShock. That's how it is thematically. That's how it plays. And it's fun, right? It is fun. It is a bit dated in design. It's kind of, you could tell it plays like a last gen mid gen game. Like, this is really a game that honestly you would expect somewhere like around maybe 2017, 2016, sometime around there.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it plays. It's a little bit stiff. It's a little bit dated in its design. If you go into an apartment, the screen fades to black. It has to load really quickly. It's not a long load, but stuff like that is a sign of a game being dated. It's not a huge world. It's really wide linear. The city's not huge or anything like that.
Okay.
They do that thing where throughout the game they limit where you can go. You have to clear the fog. You have to clear these gates to clear the fog. But for the most part, it kind of limits where you can go. It's a very vertical game. Even though it's linear, it's vertical. You can get on roofs and stuff like that.
Okay.
The combat, like I said, it's fun. If you enjoy Japanese folklore, if you enjoy weaving signs with elemental attacks and stuff like that, then you're gonna enjoy this game. But it's clear that this game was like, it feels a little bit incomplete, because when you look at something like the skill tree, I'm like, this is it? Like, this is all y'all came up with for a supernatural game?
Right.
It's clear that this is one of those things where if they do a sequel, they're gonna really maximize on it, and I would expect that skill tree to be much bigger.
Yeah, much more. Now, BG, did you think that did the story hit home, or was the story almost inconsequential? It didn't even play a role.
The story is very anime like, right?
Okay.
This game story plays like an anime where it's not this like super in-depth story. It's this guy. It's honestly this guy. He's trying to save his sister, right? He's possessed by a spirit. That's how he gets his powers. And the spirit also has his own goals that he's trying to achieve. They're helping each other out. You know, it's really not that layered. It's, you know, it doesn't have this great narrative. It's very straightforward like that. So yeah. But it's a decent game, man. I enjoyed it.
So wait, is this so for, you know, I never like to say just put a number on it or anything like that, but like what do you think when it comes down to it? Is this a buy now? Is this a wait for a sale, or is this a pass?
For me, I gave it like a 7.5. So I guess that would mean most people would translate that into wait for a sale.
Yes.
It's not something where I would say it's a great on sale game to buy. If you buy this at like $40, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed. Me personally.
Right.
So
now,
it's
this
about
is
that.
retailing out. Is this a $60 game or a $70 game currently?
I think it's 70. I'm not sure. I think it's 70. Brad got to ask for that $10.
Yeah, Brad's going to be careful.
Yeah, I need that $10, BG. Or I can wait for it to come to Game Pass.
Yeah, a lot of
can
people
always
are doing
do
that.
Well, let me ask the panel, but I want to go through a couple of the games that released this week. Crap, any of you guys, Merc, any of you guys, was Ghostwire Tokyo on your radar at all now that you're hearing what BG's saying, and also what you're seeing the actual review scores are? Is this something that is something you're interested in, or nah, it was just something you were always passing from day one?
For myself, it's not a game that I was really checking for, man. Really, Elden Ring, since its releases, and I knew it would, it's just taking over my universe right now, and I'm wrapped up in that game.
Well, you know, I got to ask that question. I'm glad you brought that up, Merc, real quick. BG, hate to go right back to you, but BG, everybody knows, like I said, I've been following your channel for a while, too. You were just all over when Bloodborne came out. You with Dark Souls 3, I believe you did a playthrough on your channel, or at least many of the bosses I saw. I thought you did. Have you started Elden Ring?
No, I haven't started it yet. The thing about it is, I know everybody, loves Elden Ring, and I love Souls games. But the reason I haven't been in a rush to play Elden Ring is because I've played like every Souls game there is, and I'm talking outside of From Software, like the Neos, the what is it? I forgot what the other game is,
Sekiro?
but there's like Sekiro.
Yep.
There's this really bad one. There's this terrible Souls game. I forgot who it's made by, but I even beat that. So, I mean, I even beat the 2D.
Are you a little soulsed out? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's why I'm not in a rush like everybody else. I've beaten like even the Surge, and there's this 2D Souls game called Sultan Sanctuary, the sequel to it.
Yes.
Sultan Sacrifice is coming out. I've even beat that. So that's why me personally, I'm not in a rush like in everybody else, because I've sold myself out literally. So.
Well,
but I'm going to play it in April. I'm playing it in April.
Okay, you are going to play it now. I was going to say, is this something where maybe you completely put it on the back burner? I mean, the thing about Elden Ring, too, not to kind of jump back, that's a couple topics from weeks back, but I mean, Elden Ring is legitimately, I guess I'll ask Merc, too. I mean, you're into Elden Ring. Brap, we know. I mean, Brap has got, Brap, you only missing a couple of trophies, I believe, so far. But in all honesty, like, is Elden Ring, is it the next gradual successor in the Souls family, or has it taken a step back maybe to you, Merc, or what's your take on it?
Well, I probably have a little bit of a different story than everybody else when it comes to Souls games. I'm actually the guy that avoided Souls games, that actually had no interest in Souls games, and I bought it I was one of those that bought it on the hype, right? I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to give this Souls game a shot. And Erica was kind of egging me on to do it because she wanted to see me struggle on stream, which she has a couple times. And man, at first I was like, man, you know what? I don't know if this game is for me. But little by little, man, I got wrapped up in Elden Ring, and I'm loving it. So once I beat Elden Ring, I'll probably take a break from Souls at some point. But I'm glad that I can go back and play some of these Souls games, which I did not play because I really just avoided the genre altogether in the past. But it's something that I'm really, really enjoying. It's a phenomenal game.
All right, so real quick here, I do want to, before we go to our next game, I want to discuss, before we get into like the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, Crap, was this a game that you really wanted to kind of get into, Ghostwire Tokyo, or were you intrigued at all, or this was a pass?
It's a pass. I'm not really, it's just not, I don't think it's my bag, so, I wasn't the biggest Evil Within fan either, so, I mean, I just like this studio I don't think really does much for me. So
No, I figured you might say that, but I mean, at the same time, I didn't know if maybe after you saw what was, there's been a decent amount of footage out and people are talking, but it seems like it's kind of dying off quick already. Just doesn't seem like, I think maybe because it's getting lost in the shuffle as well. Brap, is this also a pass for you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, it really didn't resonate with me when they first revealed it. And, there's other games I want to get to right now. Like I said, I just wrapped up, Elden Ring, but, I just started a second playthrough on PC because I beat it on PlayStation 5. So, probably not. Maybe later on in the year if there's a drought and I get through my backlog, but probably not anytime soon.
Right. Now, shout out to Andy Hart here. He says, damn, Sony games are too expensive for Brap, hurting his wallet. Andy's reading your reading your mind, buddy.
Ask him. He's got $10 for me. That's what I want to know.
Well, Andy, he did throw it in there. He says, will Death, and then Andy comes back. He goes, will Deathloop and Ghostwire be on Game Pass when they release on Xbox? Absolutely. 100%. I mean,
Games Pass.
I'm not sure. I don't have anything in writing, but I got to be honest with you. If I was a betting man, I'd definitely put money on that. So, yes, Andy, I'm pretty sure you could wait for both of those titles to make their way to Game Pass next year.
I wouldn't be surprised, Mooch, because obviously the developer is owned by Bethesda, and Microsoft owns Bethesda now. So
correct. So there's no shock factor there at all.
Works. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Want to go over to BG again one more time because BG, I happened to notice a tweet you made about 2.5 hours ago or so, which kind of sparked everything and why I said we should probably get into it. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which by the way, I really, really wish they named it something else, but nonetheless. It's another iteration in the world of Borderlands, to put it frankly, for the audience that may or may not know. And I was very pleased to see a lot of people coming out today and saying that they're enjoying this game. I watched a few people just kind of in and out, a couple channels on Twitch. People really seem to be enjoying it, saying how much they love this game. BG, you actually tweeted out that you were enjoying it, but the way I read your tweet, it kind of read like you were not expecting to enjoy it that much. Is it something that kind of maybe overstep its boundaries after you played it and you thought you were just going to think it was mid at first?
No, I'm a big Borderlands fan, and I expected to like it, but I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be better than Borderlands 3, and I think it is. I'm enjoying it more than Borderlands 3. Borderlands 2 is definitely my favorite one.
Same.
Me too, huh?
I did enjoy even the pre-sequel, but 3 was kind of like, I think this needs to be. It didn't evolve as much, I think. And this one, they're doing things a little bit different. There's a little bit more focus on melee combat, but that's not all you're doing, right? It's not just mainly melee combat. You still got your guns, your creative, weapons. There's a lot more magics. There's spells and these magical abilities, and got these little companions in certain classes, and it's. The classes, there's like 6 classes, I think, and there's not, since this is literally Tiny Tina just making stuff up in her head while she's playing a board game. There's just these classes that are outside of the box. You don't just got like the typical sentry or soldier, so that makes it even better. So yeah, I'm enjoying it with all these abilities and magic and stuff.
Yeah, I myself included. I mean, I'm only a little over an hour in, so it's hard to when we all started doing this a long time ago, and for everyone probably has short-term memory and forgets this, but games used to release on Tuesdays. Well, now they release on Fridays, right? Thursday at midnight, Friday at morning, if you want to look at it that way. It's Friday release. So my whole point with that is that, CrossFire, we used to have 3-4 days to actually play the game. We would talk about it. A lot like how you could do a weapon wheel, actually, BG. But we can't do that tonight because everybody just started playing ridiculous, 3-4 hours ago. And if you waited till midnight, listen, I know a lot of people do that. I can only speak for myself. When I start at the midnight release, I'm lucky if I can get to 1, 2 in the morning. You got to be at work. You know what I mean? It's just not as much fun to be starting at 12:01 a.m. Eastern time. This is not a subject, but there's a lot of East Coast gamers. As a matter of fact, I believe, Merc, I'm not aware where you are, Merc. Or what are you, Pacific or Eastern?
No, I'm in Florida, so I'm Eastern.
So we have, as it currently stands right now, we have an entire East Coast panel, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll speak for the panel here, and those guys could tell me, Mooch, don't speak for me. That's fine. But I wish that if they're going to do early releases at GameStop at 9 p.m. for physical, why can't we do 9 p.m. just across the board? So you're probably saying, what do I mean by that? I mean 9 o'clock for each of the time zones. So at 9 p.m. Eastern, it launches in New York. Okay, as an example. 9 p.m. at Central, Or yeah, it'll launch Central all the way to Pacific. So it's not shifting it back for others, but it lets everybody kind of play the game before. They're letting others do it anyways. So it's kind of a non-issue. I don't know why this is falling on deaf ears. Nobody's paying attention to this. I think New Yorkers need that, right? I'm so tired of waiting until 12:01 a.m. Eastern time.
I agree with you, Mooch. Those days of staying up, those days of staying up till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got to work the next day. Nah, I can't do that no more.
That's a wrap. And to be honest with you, it's like, I know that the entire world, revolves around, the Pacific time zone now. But I grew up in a different era. The ball still drops in New York first. I don't understand why East Coast gamers are treated this way. That's a whole nother show. So I want to get into something else here as we wait for kind of Big Cloud and Blaze to kind of make their way over. So yeah, we basically had the Sony's to unveil this big PlayStation reveal. You guys know Spartacus. We talked about it about a month and a half ago on the show. Merc, I guess I'll start with you, and then I want to get to Crap because I really want to hear what Crap's got to say about this as well. When you hear Sony's about to unveil this PlayStation subscription service, and we know about the 3 tiers, and shout out to Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb was actually on the show when we went through each of the tier systems. We know what they are for the most part. Basically, you'll have your $10 option, which is kind of the way it is now. Then you'll have one that includes more games with a PS Now, and then the third tier, the most expensive one, will be all of them, plus you'll get demos, and you'll be able to demo new games, etc., etc., etc. Probably deals that they have as well with third-party brands as well. So, Merc, when you hear this, what's your take on it? Is it just going to be something that you kind of blow right by? Or is this something that you say, no, this is something I'm actually really keeping my ear to the ground for. I'm very interested in this.
So when it comes to services, I've always kept kind of the same energy, right? I think that there's a certain demographic of gamers out there that probably are interested in Game Pass and interested in Spartacus and interested in, various of the other gaming services that are out there. But, for us, maybe that are here on a podcast and the chat and everybody listening and everybody catching it on the replay, that might necessarily apply to us because we're the hardcore. So we're going out there and we're buying games day one, right?
Right.
Like myself, I might not necessarily find the value in it, but that doesn't mean, in the massive install base that PlayStation has, that there is a subset of gamers that they can make a considerable amount of money on. So is it smart for PlayStation to have a Game Pass type, solution? Yeah, I'm sure they're looking across the fence and they're saying, man, if Microsoft is making money with it, why can't we do the same?
Merc,
I think it's the evolution.
Merc, so the evolution part, I agree to a certain extent. I think the one thing, and by the way, I don't blame you for saying it because the media is running wild with it. But it's legitimately nothing at all like Game Pass. I mean, because Game Pass.
Yeah, no day one games. Right? Yeah,
that day one game perk, if you will, is what makes Game Pass Game Pass. PS Now has always been this. I think what they're just doing is they're just merging and they're sprinkling in a couple of the perks that they have at Sony, which would be the demos that they may be able to cut.
Correct.
Of course, internally they can do whatever they want, but I mean, with third-party games, that may be something that they can do. And also, maybe down the road they'll throw Crunchyroll in there, or maybe they won't. I don't know. But they can only do basically what they want to do as far as services. I don't think that Sony is in any type of mindset to ever mimic Game Pass to a T.
I agree. I don't think that that's necessarily the move, but I do think that they got to have some kind of offering out there, right? Now, if you are subscribed, let's say to Game Pass, the fact that Spartacus is coming out is probably good news. Why? Because competition drives behavior, right? So if, let's say, Spartacus is starting to get day one third-party games that they're throwing in there, and we kind of know, like, for example, recently, what has Game Pass really dropped in there that's really... that says, oh man, I got to stay subscribed to Game Pass for the long haul, right? The last big game was Halo. The next biggest game, before that was what? Forza. And then there's been kind of a couple games here and there, Outriders, MLB The Show, like if you're looking for the big titles, right? Maybe Spartacus drives the subscription services to kind of get more big AAA third-party day one games in there, and then everybody wins regardless of what service you're subscribed to. So I think from a competition perspective, if you are subscribed to a service, maybe this drives more competition, and in turn you get a better service out of it.
No, I like where you're going with that. Shout out to Andy Hardy, says, loving the GTA footage, Mooch. Did you also fall for the upgrade? I absolutely did.
Yeah, facts.
So I did pay the extra $10 to play it on PlayStation.
You got $10, Mooch? Or
I
$10.
spent it on GTA.
He spent it, bro. He spent
But
it.
listen, I gotta be honest with you.
Come on, man.
The thing about it though is this: I didn't buy. I did buy the. I think it was like $20 during the Xbox One generation. I didn't play it again. I played it on 360, skipped Xbox One, and I said, you know what? If they're gonna make the enhancements for $10, you have it in your library. Listen, if you guys want to bust my chops for that, I'm totally okay with that because rightfully so. Right now, even today, Rockstar has the gall to come out and do a $5 a month subscription service, which is absolutely ridiculous. But listen, they are literally printing money at Rockstar. So I want to go back to the topic though. Crap, what's your take here when it comes to Spartacus? That's the code name right now. That's of course what it won't be revealed at next week. Do you think this is something that they had to do? Or this is something that basically they said, listen, what? And I think me and you talked about this crap, so I liked what your thought was months ago. I wonder if you saw the same one. Is this something where they said, listen, we've been doing this anyways? Is this a situation where if we could rebrand it, maybe that would get people to try it? Because the way that they initially put PS Now out there kind of put a bad taste in people's mouths.
Well, I think PS Now, obviously, just the streaming stuff. I don't think that's going to do much. I'm interested to hear what the service is going to entail. But yeah, like PlayStation Now didn't grab anybody, and it's been out since 2014. Rebranding it could help a little bit, but I think that unless they decide to start getting some games in their day and date, not even just their own, but some bigger offerings and stuff. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. When you look at kind of how we've heard some of the rumors, it's that they're going to do some demos and stuff, which is very similar to EA Play, which I don't see anybody knocking themselves out to get EA Play.
Well, the difference here, though, is the EA Play games nobody could care less about. But like, let's just say, for example, you had a game coming out, let's say Elden Ring, just as a joke, right? Elden Ring, you get to play the first 10 hours on the most expensive Spartacus plan. 12 million copies sold. Crap, that's a lot of people that would jump at that.
Yeah, I mean that's a third-party game though.
That's
but
what
I mean,
meant.
like a lot of people do like Madden and FIFA and stuff like that, so they probably do enjoy that. But it's still only a set amount of people. I just think that unless it seems like they're trying to do something to match what Microsoft is doing, but without being able to match kind of what Microsoft is doing. Like they're changing things around, but it's really just moving the three balls around, the cups around with the ball in there, and it's still basically the same thing, just merging the two things together. I'm willing to hear them out and hear what it has to be, what it's going to be, but unless it's something that's offering something drastically different than what they've already been offering, then I don't really see the need in doing it. I think the big deal about Game Pass is, especially towards the end of this year, is when they start dropping those big games every quarter or so. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people like the smaller stuff and the third party stuff that they're dropping, the MLB The Shows and the Tunics and the what have you. So they're cool with that. Even that really kind of beats out. I think PlayStation Now has dropped one new game day and date in its entire existence. So I think that stuff, that has to change if they really want to compete. But they might not want to compete. They just might want something slightly different and a rebrand. So it really depends on what they want to do, and depending on how far they can take it. I want to see what they want to do with it, and then I'll kind of go from there. I'm subscribed to PlayStation Plus for another couple of years anyway.
Right.
So, we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens with all that stuff, hopefully something.
I do agree with you, Crap, on the latter part of your thought. I think it's more of a rebrand versus a competition. I really think that they've got their valuable assets in the 800 games that they have in PS Now. The trick for Sony is are they going to be able to take the PS Now games and not make them streaming, right? And make them so that you can actually download those games. If they've accomplished that, that's a huge victory. Because they don't need to have the deals that Microsoft's going out and searching for. They don't need the tunics because they have 800 games that people loved over the course of multiple generations. They kind of have their own golden bullet. But if it's streaming, I just don't see it being a viable option. I think
it's like if they have, if they're like, whoa, we got PS3 games, and I couldn't give a crap less about PS2 and PS1 games. There's no trophies. They look like crap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But PS3 stuff, if they could play natively, great. You know what I'm saying? If they have a good selection of them, I think that's a cool thing that actually gets you some hype. Whether or not how many people use that, I don't know. But I think it would generate something for it. But if it's just streaming your stuff, I don't think anybody really, for the most part, gives a damn about streaming stuff, to be honest with you. So I think that wouldn't be very much of a big deal at all. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested, like I said, to always see what these companies are doing. They don't have to copy what Microsoft is doing to be successful, but I do think that they have to kind of go out there and do, I think, something. I mean, they've got investors, they've got all the, like, they at least have to, like, a lot of times when we hear these announcements and things that say Jim Ryan make or that Phil makes, like Jim Ryan's like, oh man, it just pains me that, our games aren't reaching hundreds of millions of players. That's very much an investor comment, more so than a comment of anything they're going to do. You know what I mean? So I feel like I feel like a lot of times it's like more like investors kind of bug them to do this or that or the other. They're like, well, what are you going to do to copy this? And then you find out that all these services combined between every single service that's out there in gaming is only 4% of the total market, like combined, only 4%. So it's not a very big market to begin with when you consider everybody the game. So, we'll see what happens. They probably want to see what the future holds or whatever. And, I just feel like it'll really largely depend on what they want to offer and how they also explain it. Like, don't be confusing about it. It would be the big thing that I would say. Like, don't be confusing and don't piss people off and don't put stuff behind a paywall like backwards compatibility. You know what I mean? That's like the only advice that I could give them. Like, otherwise, have it. I'm interested to see what they're going to offer.
I like your point on that. Shout out to Danelle Brown. He says, hey, I'm here, guys. He goes, I got all the new consoles now. I'm a happy gamer whenever I have time to game. That is Danelle. Thanks for being here. Danelle comes back. He says, hey, Brap is a smart dude. There you go, Brap. You got a fan in the chat. He says, when gas prices went up, he went and got himself a horse. Just don't do what Peter Griffin did to the horse that he got. Laughed my ass off. Shout out to Danelle Brown. Appreciate that. And the great funny. Andy Hart's back.
I did get a horse, though. That's true.
I did get a horse.
I actually do own a horse. That's not even like exaggeration.
It's an unusual thing to own. Would you not say, Brad?
I mean, apparently it's a big thing here, man. I mean,
it's a big thing in Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Preakness here. So there's it's funny, man. Like, you would think of Maryland's big because of the Preakness, with thoroughbreds and horse. I mean, I'm being serious. I'm not even saying it to be funny.
I believe you.
I was surprised. Like, I'm like, and I'm part of this like community of horse owners. I mean, it's interesting, man. It's very interesting to say the least.
It's great. I love it. It's enthusiastic. I love it. Shout out to Andy Hart. He's back. He said, can the panel see PS5 Pro within 2 years? And if yes, does it show the PS5 was rushed out? Andy, we're going to get to that. That's one of my topics for tonight. So we don't have to, we're going to get into that a little bit later as some of the others show up. BG, I'm just going to ask you on the same thing. Two things. Do you believe the 3-tier system that we've been introduced to through the media? And also, do you think Spartacus is let me just say this. I'm not even going to put words in your mouth. What literally do you believe Sony's intent is with Spartacus?
I mean, the media has been calling it a Game Pass competitor, but it clearly doesn't seem to be that, right? I think it's more just trying to honestly, kind of rebrand and kind of put together some of these services that they already have into like some type of package. And I guess if backwards compatibility is whether it's streaming or however way, because they're going to want to monetize. If they give you backwards compatibility, they're going to want to monetize it somehow. I don't really think it's a Game Pass competitor because like you said, what Game Pass really is day one games. Right. That's right. And that's all. It's not really about the library. People play the library, but really that's what differentiates Game Pass from anything else. Because if you take that away, people not really going to care about Game Pass all that much. Some people will probably subscribe, but it's really
the number will dramatically drop, right? BZ?
Oh, absolutely. That's what they really care about. So being that that's the main feature in Game Pass and PlayStation is not doing that, they're not doing day one games. That's just not their strategy. They don't feel like they have to do that. I mean, I don't think they have to. I mean, the path they're going down is, clearly working for them. What Microsoft is doing with Xbox and day one games is, for the most part working for them right now. I'm not sure about the long run, but I think whatever they end up putting in this pack, these tiers, from what I've seen, I don't really think it like moves the needle that much. If what we've seen is true, I don't think it's big. I don't think it's like, I don't think you're even that bold and like you feel that good announcing if it's just those things. Like this is just like, well,
so I'm glad you said that, because the one part of me actually, and Brap, I'll give you the microphone after this. I just want to make one comment. I do agree with BG's last statement there. I feel like even with the things we've heard reported, I'm feeling like we're going to hear something else that's included with this that we don't know about. Brap, go ahead. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I think this really, it comes down to just a consolidation of two services. It just doesn't make sense for them to have, two subscription models under the PlayStation, or in the PlayStation ecosystem, in PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus. Like, why have those two things separate? Like, just combine them, which makes sense for them to do. They're going to consolidate that, and then offer tiers. I've heard the tiers too. I heard they may bundle again. This is, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I've heard some rumors that point to them including some entertainment pieces from Sony Movies, Sony Music, bundled in with the gaming service stuff, or the video game piece of it. So I think that would probably my understanding is they're trying to figure out how to add some additional value. That could be one way to do it. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, just rumors that I've heard. But I don't think this is going to be anything that really shakes the earth per se. I think the only thing that would do that is if they needed to release their games, or if they decide to release their games day and date on the service, which that's not going to happen. Sony doesn't need to put their games in a service day and date like that to really drive engagement per se, because you look at their titles. I mean, all of their games for the most part, their big games have sold very well. I mean, what was it? God of War's 20 million, Ghost of Tsushima's up there. Horizon is up there. I mean,
Spider-Man flirting with 20 as
Spider-Man
well.
20, yeah.
Up there.
I mean, they are getting. I think Grubb mentioned this too when he was on with us a couple weeks ago. They are approaching Nintendo numbers in terms of first party sales. So they don't need to do that. I mean, people are going out. People see value in their IP. There's a lot of value in the eyes of consumers in the PlayStation brand. There's a lot of loyal consumers. And Grubb even touched upon that's not easy to do. So you see that with Nintendo and Sony, there's value. People see value in spending $60 or $70. That evil word, $70.
God forbid.
In their God forbid, in their IPs. So they don't have to do that. Again, and the other thing with subscription service, people have to remember something like, consuming gaming in subscription services works a little bit different than Netflix, because interactive entertainment is much different than 100%. Watching a show. Like we talked about this, Mooch. You mentioned like if you fall asleep on the couch, no big deal.
Yeah, you come home, you're tired, you had a long day at work. You're like, oh, I'm going to watch a series on Netflix. Meanwhile, you fall asleep 20 minutes into that series. No big deal. You can't say the same thing about picking up a controller and playing a game.
No, it's different. And most people
it's consumed differently.
Yeah, it is consumed. It's absolutely consumed differently. And most people, and the CEO of Take-Two mentioned this, like Strauss, I forget his name, Resnick or something, I forget his name. But he even mentioned, he's like, it doesn't make sense for us. He thinks subscription services are great for, games after they reach their retail, after they reach their retail maturation point where they're not selling anymore. Then you put them into a service like that and they get kind of a bump. But he's saying is like, in reality, like, because most people are playing 3 or 4 games a year, and they're probably putting about 40, 55 hours in each of those games. So there's something to be said for that. Again, I'm not trying to say that these services aren't good. But what I'm saying is
they're just not for everybody.
And you can't compare that. You can't compare them in terms of how people consume them to like a Netflix, because they really are two different types of entertainment.
Well, let me do this real quick while we have a break here. I want to say shout out to BitCloud Gaming and Blaze 4K. Get both of them coming over from the RGT podcast. I just wrapped up. So I saw Blaze in here. Blaze, I don't know if you guys are both muted right now, so I don't know if you're able to. They're probably still getting something to eat. Blaze, are you here with us? I see you just unmuted.
What's up?
What's good, Blaze? So, Blaze, I'll go to you first here. Just kind of bring you right in. We're talking about the whole Spartacus thing that's probably going to be revealed, according to the rumors, next week. What's your take on it when you heard about the 3 tiers? I mean, is this something that you think is supposed to be a competitor to Xbox? Or no, this is just a rebranding of sorts with PlayStation and their library?
I think first of all, rebranding can do wonders. You know what I mean? Because PS Now, I feel like it's stagnant. People have their way about it. They feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna change their mind about PS Now, but with a rebrand and hey, also this, you can stream games. But I don't think it's a competitor. I think it's their own separate thing. I think, unless they're bringing games day and date, which I don't see why they would do that because they already sell games very well. They don't need to do that. They're making so much money for the $60-$70 a pop. Why would they do that? But I just think this is a new way to entice people to bring more people in and to present a better package for PlayStation Plus, even though PlayStation Plus by itself I feel like is a great value in terms of the games you get monthly. You know what I mean? But I don't see it as a competitor. I see it as of course, people are always going to compare the two. It's going to happen over and over and over and over again. But like you said, remove day and date from Xbox, and I don't know if it's that appealing to people.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad you said that, because that was something that BG said in the last part of his comment when he was giving his analysis of Spartacus, was that when you stop and think about it, especially as of the last, 24 months, I know nobody really likes to talk about this, but let's just talk about it for a second. Outside of Halo and Forza, if you went and bought a Series X or Series S day 1 November 2020, if you're a happy Game Pass subscriber, it's because you're playing the other games that are in their catalog in there. And
right.
So let's just talk apples for apples. If you take Sony's PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 titles and they throw all of those in there for the mid-tier system, Blaze, that might be something that entices a lot of Sony fans, because take myself, for example. I don't have a lot of my PS2 games anymore. I don't have a lot of PS3 games. I probably have about 20 PS3 games. Like, I would maybe be enticed to see what the catalog is, and that's if you can download it, natively to your console. I don't want to stream it either.
I could be wrong about this, but I strongly feel that, if people are expecting for you to go get this service, download Killzone 2 and 3 and play them directly from the console, I just don't see them investing the time. There's some sprinkles sparked about it, but there's not enough rah-rah out there for them to go in and invest all that manpower and money into bringing these games so they can run natively on a PS5. It would be awesome. I hope they do it, but I don't see PlayStation doing it. I feel like PlayStation wants to forget their past sometimes. They don't care about these, you know what I mean? It's like people are begging for certain games and they just kind of push their hand out and say, well, not right now. We're bringing new experience. But, listen, people can say what they want about old games, but I think the back compat is a great feature on Xbox. Are you kidding me? Like, I would love to play Killzone, Infamous, Resistance. I have my PS3 plugged in.
Right.
And I have to keep it plugged in if I want to continue to play those games. Now, do I want to play those games every day? Do I play them every day? No, I don't. But when I want to, it's there. And it would be nice for them to have some sort of bump in resolution or performance, but it's just a lot of work. And I think what Xbox did is kind of really... It's an underrated feature they got, bro. Not only that the games are running better, but there's a resolution bump. Are you kidding me? Like, go back and play some of these PS3 games, because I have. They're tearing all over the place. There's aliasing all over the place. You're dropping.
Yeah, they don't age well. No.
FPS. Yeah.
Look at the original Red Dead.
Right. So, I hope they get, I hope people forget that there's 45 million PS Plus users out there. Okay, that's a lot of users. Now, if they could just find a way to make the transition as seamless and as painless as possible without killing your wallet, like maybe a $5-10 increase, right? Depending on the whole tier system.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a huge... Dude, think about that. People say there's 20 million Xbox Game Pass or 25 million, but I don't think it's concurrent. I think they just got that number all time, like 20 million Xbox Game Pass. But
I think they confirmed it that it was concurrent.
Is it?
It doesn't really, and I've had a lot of people say this to me too, Merc, so I'm not blaming Merc for saying, Merc, I may have seen the same thing that you're saying, but I do agree with Blaze, because with anything in the world that's a subscription base, everything goes up and down, right? So they don't get to 25 million and it's forbidden to drop below, Right?
Right.
That it doesn't matter if we're talking about gym memberships or we're talking about gaming subscriptions. It doesn't matter what we're talking about.
That's fair.
It's an ebb and flow, right? So my whole thing with that is that I'm a little bit more in Blaze's camp with the number. I know that they like to report when they're high. They never report when they're in a lull. So I think that's what and don't get me wrong, I think when they do announce it, they are actually at that. But when they drop down to 18, 17 and people let the subscription run its course, they don't mention that and they wait for it to
of course. I agree with that.
It just makes sense numerically. I mean, I don't know.
And I don't believe it, but what I listen, can we stop comparing the two medias? Like Netflix,
yes, please.
It's not the same as Game Pass. It's not, okay? They're like the way we consume these medias are completely different, okay? Like
we just talked about that. Yeah.
No, go ahead. It's good to hear someone say it.
I mean, Blaze is right. I mean, like it really is a different. It's a different form of consumption. Like it's different spending 2 hours for a movie or an hour in a show versus actually buying a game or picking up a game in a service and spending 45 to 50 hours. I mean, there's, and actually having impact into the direction or how you play that game. There's no physical control or interaction.
Listen, even if you take a game like even if you take a Telltale game, right, which is basically story driven, I got news for you.
They're still involved.
Don't think you can put your controller down and have a drink, put your feet up. You know what I mean?
No,
like you can. It's gonna tell you the prompt was wrong and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. So I mean, even something as simple as that still requires attention, a controller in your hand, some sort of, skill set. So I do agree with that. Let me also introduce the great Bit Cloud Gaming. Bit, great to have you here tonight, buddy. I know you just got done doing a show with Blaze, but, here you are on CrossFire. I got you at least for another hour, buddy. Hey, my apologies in advance. But Bit,
might kill me.
Cloud.
Bet, what do you think, buddy? What's your take?
Black Cloud for an hour.
At least an hour with Brad.
Brad, kill me.
Bet, what do you think?
I'm only gonna say one time, Bit. That's it, just one time.
Brad, kill me. He said it to me damn times. Kill me.
Well, shout out to Jeff Grubb. He goes, the difference is that games have microtransactions and you can play with your friends. Netflix wishes it had those things. That I do agree with.
That is true, yeah.
Well, Bit, while you think about Spartacus, I do have a couple of super chats here. Shout out to the great Sir X Man. He says, did Spartacus die at the end of the movie? I think he thought so. I'm not sure, Sir X Man. We're going to have to go back and reverse the tape. Sir X Man also says, why does that say 7? Been there longer than that. Sir X Man, you've been there a lot longer with the Mooch Maniac family members, buddy. I don't know why it says 7. Shout out to Ola Mocha. Thank you for joining the channel, Ola. I really, really appreciate it. He says, love the show, Mooch. We love that you're here. And the great Andy Hart is back. He said, when I got my Series S at launch, I got Gears Tactics, Awesome Gears 5, the Medium, I like how we called it Awesome Gears 5, the Medium, and more. Also, Xbox upgraded most times for free. And my upgrade to Series X has been awesome. So Andy Hart, a big Xbox Series fan. Andy, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But what's Spartacus's, what's its main function in your opinion? And then we're going to move to another subject.
I mean, from what I've heard, it's basically just the two services together. That's what they're pretty much saying. And it's probably probably Crunchyroll thrown into this as well if you buy the
That's what I
tiers.
said, Bet. I think they're going to throw something else in there.
That. Yeah, because I do believe that the leaks that were going around on Twitter, excuse me, I believe the leaks that are going around on like Twitter and I think it was Reddit, were actually true. So it's possible that it all makes sense. It all flows into the same thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I think a lot of people, and Brad, go ahead if you want to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to real quick. I just want to piggyback on what Blaze was saying about how the consumption of gaming is different than something like TV or Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And Strauss Zelnick, and he basically said, he's the CEO of Take-Two. He basically said he doesn't think that he thinks it's unlikely that subscriptions will supplant frontline video game sales as a primary business model. And he says this because the way people consume it and the price point for owning a title, which is very reasonable, very low, actually on an hour-per-hour basis, which I've argued numerous times, that people, when they spend their, $60 or $70 in games, they're also investing countless hours into those games. So that's much different. Again, he's saying that some people will pay, will play 3 to 4, maybe 5 games a year, and that's it. So, a subscription service might not be for those individuals. It's not a one size, fits all type thing, and I think people kind of conflate that. They think, oh, well, you have access to all these games. That means it's great for everyone. Well, no, if you don't use it, it's not great, and if you do, it's wonderful, but it's not a one size fits all type thing. And I think I see people say that a lot, and that's just not the case because people don't consume video games the same. Some people play one game, like Warzone. That's all they play. I mean, Mooch, we had this conversation. Your son and his friends, they play Fortnite. That's it.
Period. Done. They play Fortnite, they play Warzone. That's it. So I've had Game Pass forever, and Game Pass, they don't download any games off it. But that's and again, don't use the small senses. I'm just saying. BG, did you have something on this?
Yeah, and the other thing people have to realize is Game Pass is a risk that Microsoft can make and be honestly not be that, it's not as big of a risk for them as it would be for PlayStation to pay on the back end for games to be day one. That's a way bigger risk for PlayStation. It's still a risk for Microsoft right now. Right. We know because PlayStation is a gaming company. Like that's where most of their revenue comes from. That's not how it is for Microsoft. So PlayStation has to win in the gaming division. If they fail in the gaming division, then their other divisions aren't as profitable. So that's why they're probably not going to do day one. I mean, even now we don't know from all indicators. We don't know when or if Game Pass is profitable for Microsoft. There's always debates back and forth. I'm not going to say it is, not going to say it isn't. But from what we were told, they have to get to a certain subscription and they have to stay at that. Which getting there may be possible, but staying at that for profitability is probably the hard part. So,
well, let me piggyback off you, BG. I just want to say quickly, like that right there, Microsoft can afford to take it on the chin until this shit just works. Okay, like no other company can do that, and eventually it is going to work. They're like every time you talk to somebody, oh, you signed up, oh yeah, I signed up for $1. Like I hate to sound that like to say the cliche dollar shit, but I swear to God, every time I signed up for Ultimate, it's been $1. Okay, like I just they're paying all these developers, they're paying to get all these exclusive games day and day. I just can't see how it's profitable right now. That doesn't mean that it won't be super profitable in the future. I think Microsoft has the finances to kind of just take it and suck it up until it works.
Well, I want to go ahead and branch off of this. I actually have something here, and I apologize. I took a screenshot of it, but I don't have the actual reference here. But it was from a credible source on there. I'll find it and get it for you guys. But it says here, Disney Plus expected to lose money until 2024. The Disney Plus streaming service lost $2.8 billion in fiscals in 2020, despite adding 74 million subscribers worldwide in 11 months since. And this is back published December of 2020. Of course, it's an older article, but the numbers just kind of carry right. So my other point here that I kind of wanted to go, and Blaze, I'll start with you, and then I want to hear what BG's got to say on this as well. Recently at the GDC conference, I believe Phil Spencer was asked about the games how will games fare on the console as now, because Microsoft is making Game Pass it's clearly their approach to the consumer. It's how they want to sell their brand moving forward. And the quote, I believe, was something along the lines of Microsoft says it's absolutely not true that games can't achieve success on Xbox without being on Game Pass. Now, the reason I asked this to the panel is this. We've seen a lot of third-party games coming out as of late, right? And Xbox Series X is doing much better in sales this generation, whether it be because of chip shortages, this and that, whatever the case may be. That variable is undetermined at this point. But what I'm saying to you guys is you're seeing like Elden Ring, or you're seeing other games that came out, and they're showing like 47 to 55% being sold on PlayStation consoles, 20 sometimes 25%, 30% or less being sold on Xbox. Clearly, it seems that Microsoft is putting such a strong emphasis on Game Pass that a lot of smaller developers, maybe even some third-party AAA companies, are saying, if we're not in Game Pass, are we actually getting your attention on Xbox? And they don't mean the customer, they mean the executives. Do you guys think that may be a problem moving forward and how they're handling the brand?
I mean, they definitely can't go. They've created a new mindset with Game Pass.
Absolutely.
Right? Game Pass, if for some reason Game Pass ever ceased to exist, it would create this, like, I don't even know, this wave of like culture shock to people who are subscribed to Game Pass and live by Game Pass. Because once you go into that, for most people, it'll be impossible to go back once 100%. You get used to something.
That's my point.
That.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's it. You can't go. Most people wouldn't be able to go back. So it has to succeed for them because they're all in on this. This is, to me, this, you know, some people act like Game Pass is quote unquote an option for them. Listen, I think Game Pass is their only option, honestly.
You might not be wrong at all.
You because the main
BG
thing.
choose Rebalance. He says they're only option.
Well, no, but I mean, realistically,
I'm saying they've made it that way.
Yeah,
because I think when people talk about Xbox, what is the main thing they talk about? It's Game Pass.
Game Pass.
That's it. That's the alpha and omega of Xbox. It's Game Pass. So if Game Pass ceases to exist, what is there?
Yeah, because they phased out Xbox. Nobody mentions Xbox.
Yeah, I've argued that point too, BG, that, you know, Microsoft is training this consumer behavior where it's all Game Pass, right? Like, you see it. Like, it's never really about games.
Nobody
per
talks
se,
about buying a
games.
game, right, Brap? They don't talk
about
it.
It's about what game is coming on Game Pass next, or what publisher are they going to buy to feed Game Pass. It makes sense. Game Pass is the platform now, and you know, you see Phil Spencer addressing it on GDC. There's a reason why he addressed, you know, some of the concerns, because I heard it from developers. There's concerns about developers. Do I have a place on this platform, Game Pass? Is Game Pass going to get to the point where only certain games are going to be successful on that platform, right? And those are concerns that developers have. It's not, you know, it's not fake concern as people call it. It's concern by people in the industry. Now, it doesn't mean that, you know, that in fact that's going to happen where, you know, it's only going to be. I see people say, oh, well, you know, only, you know, multiplayer type games are going to be successful in Game Pass. I mean, that may or may not be true. We don't know. You know, we'll find out in the future. But I do agree with BG. Like, it is kind of like it. And if they take that away, then what do they have, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, I want to say shout out to Andy Hart here. He says, and apologize, pardon me. It's Rude Days 93 was first. He said, I get not comparing Game Pass and Spartacus, but according to Jason Schreier's article, Sony does view this as the Game Pass competitor. So I have the article here. And basically what it says here is the Sony Group Corp is preparing to introduce a new video game subscription service for the PlayStation as early as next week, said people familiar with the plans. He says the service, which has been in development under the codename Spartacus, is Sony's answer to Microsoft Corp's Xbox Game Pass. Not necessarily the competitor, it's their rebuttal. I don't think it's necessarily competing with it. I think it's their service answer, which they've always had. So I don't know if necessarily.
Mooch,
go ahead. And let me just one thing for Jason's article here. It says Sony's new service will combine two of its current offerings, PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. Customers will be able to choose from multiple tiers, offering catalogs of modern games and classics from older PlayStation eras. It goes on, but go ahead, Brett. I'll let you take the mic back.
No, I was going to say real quick. And the other thing too is, you know, because I've seen people say, "Oh, well, you know, this thing's going to be trash or it's doomed because it's not, you know, having games day and date." It doesn't need to right now. And if it does, the you know, the position that Sony's in from an intellectual property perspective is that they have valuable IPs that people want. They could pivot at any point, and if they do, they could say, you know what, we're going to put our games day and date, and there's a lot of value in their IPs.
They could pivot at any point in time.
Yeah, they could easily pivot. It's just a matter of, you know, light switch, and they have the IPs already, and they have that mind share where people are going to be like, holy shit, you know, I'm going to subscribe now, you know, and they could dominate that space by doing that. I just don't think they're going to do it because they don't have to. They don't have to have people or offer their games quote unquote free to drive engagement because they're already doing that through sales. Like, they're not just going to cannibalize their sales if they don't have to.
I'm just curious if they're going to try to use their IP to maybe make that like the lead service that's offered in the industry. For example, like you know, Horizon Forbidden West came out. Okay, fine, you're not going to drop a game like that day and date into a service, but maybe 12 months down the road you do.
Thank you,
and maybe
Mark.
that's something that's like a hard,
Mark.
hard line where you're like, hey, look, 12 months after the release of any PlayStation first-party game, it'll be in the service.
Mark, you just picked up my attention, and I'm interested to hear what Blaze and Bit and BG got to say on this guy. And I actually want to hear what Crap has to say about this, too. My whole point is this. What Merc just said is what I'm kind of hoping for. If you really want to have a golden bullet within Spartacus, is you say 12 months or whatever, 24 months, whatever they want to say. Yeah. Then you put the new title release into that, right? Because after 12 months, they've really gotten, like us gamers, I'll speak for the panel here. Guys, please tell me if I'm wrong. If there's a game you really, really want to play, are you waiting 12 months? If you are, I'm not criticizing you. That's fine.
Wherever the game is, I'll be there day one.
I can't speak for anybody else's wallet. Myself as
Well,
a
Mo,
gamer, I am
If
not
I really,
right.
really want it, I'm buying the day one. Stuff.
Wait, Mooch, you said
That's what I'm
wallet? I need
saying,
$10.
No, but we're working on that throughout the show here.
I mean, I understand though those who wait. You know, not
Yes,
everybody has
I
the
understand.
money or
I
whatnot up
understand that.
front.
Yeah.
Understandable, but again, not everybody is going to be in that mindset where it's like, oh, I'm going to wait 6 months or 3 months or you know, a year or 2 years to play
That
it.
would be a valuable pivot. Would you not agree, Bit?
I mean, it would be right, but at the same time,
no, I'm not saying that'll be announced next week. I mean,
but
down the
how
road.
how many times have you legit done that at some point, right? Where you wanted to try a game out, but you forgot all about it and you just never did try it out, type of thing.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing a lot of people forget about. So it's it's a slippery slope. There's truth to it, right? And there's like a weird caveat to it, to where they'll do it, but at the same time they won't. So
it's just Sony Studios delivers a quality that is really
unmatched
almost second to none in the industry. You know what I'm saying? I think him making a move like that, actually, I get what you're saying, but I kind of think they could kind of make waves if they said, hey, look, 12 months down the road, we're going to put all our first party in there after release.
No, let's be real, Merc, on some real shit, especially with the MCU and all that. Are you waiting for Wolverine?
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm about to go with this? You waiting for Wolverine?
No, hell no.
All joking aside,
exactly. It's got the shit right now.
It does. All joking aside, though, it does increase the value perception, though, right? If they do that. So yeah,
perception is reality. Perception's reality, man.
Yeah. The other question I have for the panels, though, is: do you think that they put this on PC? This service?
I think. Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good question.
That's true. That's another one.
I don't see why not. Why not?
As a primary PC gamer, I hope so.
Tony's been very giving the PC. Now they're not, Merc.
As they should. I
don't really see a problem with that. Spartacus goes to PC. I don't see any issue with that at all.
So
I'm day one on PC.
I'm
saying they already experimented with the store.
Listen, I've double dipped on every game that they've sold on PlayStation and PC. I've bought the game twice.
Huh?
Wow.
By the way, and there you go. And that's something crap. We talked about that a long time ago. That's what I'm saying. That's why Sony doesn't need to do day and date. Merc is the example. There's so many people that have done that. But the PC crowd will buy it again. They will.
I did.
And it's been proven, right? Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Death Stranding. The list goes on and on. They will
Those games
buy
have done
it
very well
later
on PC
again.
too.
Days Gone, they're gonna buy it. So Sony goes,
that's my point.
Why do I need
to?
That's
my point.
They can kind of capitalize on both.
Yeah, and that's my point, Mooch, is that, again, this goes back to the value of the IP and what, like, I think it was Merc or BitCloud that said that, like, they make some of the best games in the industry. There's a lot of value. People are paying full price for their games on PC like 2 years after they release.
I think Xbox. Now listen, I know a couple of you guys are gonna go, Mooch, you're full of it now. I think Xbox could have done the same thing. I think Xbox when they first introduced, hear me out, Bit. When they first introduced Game Pass. Okay, now it's too late, right? Monday morning quarterback is too late.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying back when they introduced it, if they said, listen, the PC guys they weren't playing Gears, they weren't playing Halo. If they said 6 months or a year after comes out on PC Game Pass, the PC Game Pass folks would have been there anyways. They didn't have to do day and date.
Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah, true, but I don't think it would be as big because, especially, you look at the quality of some of them have actually launched. I don't think it would have been as big.
You know what, though? Sony's smart, though, because they saw when they first launched PC Game Pass, remember, these games were and still is exclusive to like the Microsoft Store as far as the service.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? But the minute they dropped the Microsoft first party games on Steam, those games started selling. Sony's gotten smart with it and they're dropping their games in Steam now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wonder how long it's going to be to have a launcher. That'd be the craziest shit.
Technically, do the PS Now launcher on PC, right?
Do they?
They could just turn that into a storefront. They could just turn that into a storefront.
They already experimented with Steam with the discount. So
I just wonder if Sony would actually want to invest in building out a storefront. I don't know if they want to do that.
I mean, look, for the PC gamer, it's clear. If it wasn't clear before, put it on Steam or it's going to be hard.
Well, I think put it on Steam and then maybe down the road say, hey, you know what? You can have PlayStation games on this, PlayStation Plus service, or whatever it is. You have access to old titles, so, just like, kind of like what Ubisoft does on PC. Now, obviously, Ubisoft's releasing newer games day and day, but they don't have to have those games day and day. They can say, hey, you know what? You get, full access to the PlayStation library. You get access to, additional content, maybe immediate, like movie, TVs, whatever the case is. Plus, you'll get the first party titles later on down the road, right?
EA Play folded. I have a weird suspicion we never see that come back. I really don't know if we'll ever see that come back. I don't know if that's. If that's something that they just was not sustainable for them, and they just kind of.
Well, no, their subscription service is still around, the Mooch.
Didn't they say EA Play was no longer a thing?
It's part of Game Pass Ultimate.
It's part of Game Pass Ultimate, but there is a standalone service on PC.
Steam. And it's on
That's
Steam,
what I meant.
yeah.
So the standalone is available, or the standalone is not?
The standalone is available on PC.
Origin,
it is part of Game Pass. Yeah, it's Origins.
So
or
where
something.
did they actually shut EA Play down?
You're thinking about the E3 event, I think. Don't they call that EA Play also?
They call that EA Play as well?
They call it EA.
They did.
Yeah, they call it EA. Hold on, I have it here on my dashboard.
Yeah, they canceled their E3 event.
Play.
That's probably what you're thinking
all right,
about.
never mind.
Yeah,
I was wondering.
it
I
is
thought
EA Play.
I thought I saw an article say EA Play was gone. It was going to be removed from Game Pass. That's what I thought they were saying. It was leaving. So that's not
EA Access.
I do know it's on a contract. I don't know how much longer it's going to be on Game Pass.
Oh well,
they call it EA Play. So I thought but now BG's proven right there that they named their conference the same as their service.
It's something like that.
Yeah, no, they did. Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's
but that's okay. They, apparently, according to EA, that subscription service has been very good for them.
I'm glad.
According to them, like over 6 million subscribers.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's all we keep hearing is according to them, according to them, according to these people. Well, anybody, if you guys know this, right? Anytime you walk up to anybody who owns a restaurant and you're like, "Hey, how's it going, man? You guys just opened a couple months ago. Great, never been better. Never been better. Tables are packed." Meanwhile, you look over the guy's shoulder.
Nobody's going to tell you that they're doing bad, bro.
Right, exactly, Blaze. That's my point. You look over the guy's shoulder who's telling you that there's not one table full. So my point is
like, the New York Mets.
Right?
Different story.
Leave the Mets out of it. But my point is real quick here, shout out to the great Andy Hardy. He goes, I met Gears. Tactics was awesome. Great show, Mooch. Andy, I know what you meant, buddy. Thank you so much. The great Sir X says, remember the time no one knew what Game Pass was? I think some would still say that many don't. Andy Hart comes back and says, I play on Xbox and Sony Game Pass. Has a decent catalog, but not everything I pay full price on, both Sony and Xbox. My game of the year last year was Last of Us 2. My game of... you mean last gen? I think he means last gen?
Yeah, last gen.
I think you mean last gen. He said last year. But point being is that I do want to kind of... Crap, do you have anything on the whole, like, absolutely not true comment from Phil when he was referring to the games that are not going to be in Game Pass? Are those people going to be affected, do you think, at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I think if they, if developers go to Game Pass, they go. I don't think that they're, I think there's going to always be a need to flesh it out. Like they're only going to have, regardless of how many studios they have, you're only going to probably see 4 or 5 big releases from them a year. You still need other stuff the rest of the time. So I wouldn't think that there's ever any kind of a worry there for games not to be going to it or developers to feel left out or whatever. I think it's always going to be something you got to constantly feed it. That's why people, when shows get canceled, they go, well, maybe Netflix will bring them back. You know what I mean? Like, I just, that's honestly how I feel about it. I think it's going to be, that's what they do. They're going to need content. So I don't think you're ever going to have such thing as too much content,
Yeah. BG, were you going to comment?
No.
Oh, my apologies. I thought on Discord you always see something like flutter. I'm like, oh, that's somebody speaking. My apologies. But I do want to
move.
Ahead,
just real quick before you move on. The whole PlayStation bringing a launcher. It's not even. It's beneficial for them to bring a launcher for many reasons. One being, first
30%.
You want to get people in your ecosystem. Number one. 2, if there's a launcher now, guess what? Now dudes don't have to feel like the double dipping stops. Now maybe you got a launcher, you can get trophy support. You know what I mean? Like you can see it. It's just there's many benefits to it. I just think it would be smart for them to have a launcher. Who else? I would love to get trophy support on play. Like I double dip all the time, Mark. But I'll boot it up, look at the graphics. Do I really want to play through this again? Not really. But if I had trophy support, I wouldn't mind. But it's just they need to do it. They need to do it.
But Blaze, you say that, but do you feel that is what they're going to do, or not really? In your heart of hearts, you don't feel like they are going to do that.
I think having a PlayStation launcher brings other people into their ecosystem. I know the majority of PC gamers are going to buy their game on Steam, but if they have PS Plus, if there's sales that are not on Steam that are exclusive to the store, maybe they decide, you know what, well, this game's $20 off. Screw it, I'm buying it here instead of Steam. They could do things like that. But I think what Halo, you play Halo Infinite on Steam. You're automatically getting achievements. You're automatically being signed into that Xbox thing. It's nice. It's a nice system.
So you want them to blur the lines, basically? What you saying?
If they do that, can I party chat on PlayStation with that launcher?
I mean,
you prefer them to blur the
Discord, baby.
Oh man.
I think Discord's going to be in that tier system too. By the way, Discord will.
That'll be dope. That'll be dope.
I promise you.
They need that.
What about Nitro? We think Bliss.
Nitro's a scam. Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, I'm switching subjects here slightly over to something that it's just made such headlines in the past 2 weeks. And today, of course, the news came out about Polyphony Digital coming out saying that they've confirmed that they're going to rebalance Gran Turismo 7. BG, I'll start with you. Right? And I mean, BG, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask every single person down the panel here. Is this something that had to be done? Or is this something that had to be done to silence the critics?
I mean, honestly, listen, I when it comes to Gran Turismo, I always get all the experts on Weapon Wheel. Mm-hmm. I always bring on somebody who's an expert on it to talk about it. I just divert to whatever people are saying, which seems to be a little bit. Most people seem to say that the microtransactions and the grind was a problem. Some people saying it wasn't a problem. I don't play Gran Turismo, so I honestly have no idea. So I just listen, whatever y'all say, I believe y'all.
Mooch, guess what?
Go ahead, please.
Here's the issue with this. I played an hour of Gran Turismo because of Elden Ring, but Solid Rev played it. He beat it in I think under 15 hours.
Yep. He
didn't even know that there was a store. Swear to God, he's an Xbox guy. There's no reason for him to lie. He don't lie about shit like this. Okay, never once did he feel enticed that damn my car's not fast enough or I'm not getting the. Okay, and then the whole microtransaction thing. Why is GT taking heat for this when everybody does it? Did you know on Microsoft Flight Simulator they're selling a goddamn airplane for $50 right now?
I know.
Yeah,
you know that?
I've seen that. I've seen that myself.
Where's the blowback for all these jets
I don't
that
know.
cost $30?
But
what's the issue here?
See,
bro?
Blaze,
it is, man. It's the cancel culture. You know how it is.
I'm kind of glad Blaze brings that up because actually, believe it or not, I'm kind of in BG's seat here. I don't play Forza games. I don't play GT, so I kind of always abstain from this question. But at the same time,
from a microtransaction perspective, Mooch, we don't gotta play. You don't gotta play GT to comment on if a microtransaction.
That's what I was gonna say, though. I can comment on the fact that every game that I know of has microtransactions. Why is it that specifically GT's being called out?
I mean, I think they're saying they're inflating the time it takes to unlock cars. I think that's the conversation, right? So that people will spend more on microtransactions. But like I said, I don't know. Some people said people are complaining about nothing. They played and unlocked all the cars they want. I really have no idea.
There's certain people in the hardcore camp of Gran Turismo, and I've been trying to read both camps because Blaze is right. There's no reason that you can't have a comment on the microtransaction issue. But I've also been looking at it from a gamer's perspective. People from the Gran Turismo camp are saying that this is what it's always been like. You have to grind and play the game for hours and hours and hours to get the car. There's the other side of the camp is saying, yes, that's true, but not to this extent. It seems like they went in and tweaked it the wrong way, tweaked it even more.
Well, I think some of the things that I've read is they didn't put in the microtransactions till after the reviews were done. They implemented it after the fact, so some people were upset about that. The other thing was the head of the studio said, we want to reflect the way that how these cars cost a lot of money in real life.
Yeah.
We want it to be like that in the game. So you got to work and work and work and work and work and work to be able to afford it, which it's a video game. You know what I mean? I think people want to play a video game to kind of relax, not, earn something. We realize this, but when you have a car that's, costing 40 million credits or whatever it is, and the alternative to grinding for 150 hours is to spend $40, I think people have a right to be a little bit upset about that. So I definitely see where they're coming from, and it looks like they're taking steps to fix this. They nerfed some of the a lot of the payouts previously, which is kind of like a lot of people looked at that as a slap in the face from what I was reading anyway. So we'll see. Like it looks like they're paying attention because one, the user reviews went and tanked completely, and two, people were doing some other kind of exploit to get money by not even playing. They're just leaving their game.
They're running scripts.
Yeah,
they're
running scripts. Yeah. Yep. So, that people are going to get at you one way or the other, and so that's basically what it kind of comes down to. And now we see that.
Game though. In Forza, you can put a rubber band around you, and then they patch it. You'd go to work, put a rubber band around your car, and do like 200 laps and get all this money. And then the other thing is crap. Not to cut you off, bro. But like people are like, oh, there's a car in GT for $200, bro. Stop going on Twitter and looking at an article and running with it. They're saying in credits it would roughly cost in real life money $200. There's not a car that you can go buy for $200 in PSN money. They're saying in credits that's how much a car would roughly cost. There's a difference from them actually selling a $200 car. There's a difference.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I do agree with that. And crap, just to your point, because you made a great point about the grinding out for hours and hours. But a lot of people on the panel, especially BitBlaze and Brap, especially Bit and Blaze, who were over 300 hours each into Elden Ring. But hear me out. Like, when you get to a certain point, crap, and I don't know the exact number here because I'm only level 74, but when you get into the level 150 or 175, it's like 2 million runes, right, to level up. I'm exaggerating, but not much. It's like, it's in the millions. My point being is that takes hours upon hours. I mean, I'm not even kidding. And people are doing that in other games. So when people are getting upset that this game is asking you to do that, that's what Blaze was saying. Blaze was saying, well, if you've ever had any game that makes you farm, grind, or have microtransactions, you can comment on it whether you're playing the game or not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm playing Elden Ring. About 35 hours in. I'm level 74, and I've only beat one main boss. I've only got 39 left to beat. So, like, it's like, that's a lot left, and I've just been grinding like crazy to be able to even handle these bosses without looking like a fool. So my point being is that that's why I always ask the question, because actually everything Crap said, I do see his point, and I've read some of those articles, but I wonder if this is something that's just coming because of the infrastructure and the power that social media has these days. You know what I mean? I wonder if we didn't have what we had, do you think Polyphony Digital would ever go back and make these changes if it wasn't for this pushback on social media? Probably not, is my thought.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? We're in a social media world.
That's right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's correct. That is the correct answer. That's true. No, I do agree on that. All right. So the other thing I kind of wanted to discuss here real quick, and then we're going to get to another phenomenal topic. I want to get into the Halo TV show. Crap, I'm going to start with you. Crap, you did check out the Halo TV show that's on Paramount Plus. Again, another show that's kind of come, I wouldn't say scrutiny by no means, but it has mixed reviews.
Yeah.
What's your take as a Halo fan? And then also, your excitement was high on the show. Where are you today?
I don't know if my excitement was high. I mean, I was interested in it, but I watched it. I thought it was okay. I thought, like, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, well, hardcore Halo fans probably ain't gonna like this. They probably aren't gonna like this. You know what I mean? Like, I liked the fact that it seemed like there was kind of gory and kind of, maybe a little bit M-rated or whatever. I was like, hey, that's kind of badass or whatever. Yeah. And Chief started off kind of badass. I was like, oh, that's nice. You read some places that, maybe they went a different direction where a lot of the women were kicking his ass and stuff and people were getting up in arms. There was none of that.
No.
I think the main thing that was kind of weird was he took his helmet off and just was kind of the end of the show, just had no helmet on for the end of the show. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, I think we heard that they were going to do that. But I don't know. I just wish that maybe they would have did it later, or I don't know. Maybe actors don't want to do that because it was the same kind of deal with the Mandalorian. Those rumors saying he wasn't happy just all the time being under the, just being there under the mask or whatever. So, it's just one of those kind of strange things. But I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it had the best CGI or anything like that.
Well,
but overall,
I'm really glad you said that, because that's something that Brap was saying to me earlier today when we were talking about it as well. You just nailed it. People were telling me, Mooch, listen, you've got to go into this with the right attitude. This is getting $10 million an episode. I mean, listen, I'm not in Hollywood. I don't pretend to be in Hollywood. That sounds like a lot of money per episode. And you're not the only one to say that it didn't really live up. It didn't look like a $10 million production.
don't think that it was terrible by any means. I
Right.
just, for what it was or whatever, I thought, maybe they can pull it up later on with later episodes or whatever. But for me, I thought it started off okay. There was some things that were a little bit weird choices that they made. But other than that, I thought it was okay. It wasn't like, I watched more episodes. I didn't think that it was amazing or anything like that. But I could see if you were kind of a casual type of fan, you might like it if you're just like a sci-fi fan or whatever. Like I would compare some of it maybe a little bit to Mandalorian, just how they kind of ran things. But like it was interesting. It was okay. It just wasn't like.
See, the one thing I was saying, crap. Tell me if you agree with me. Is, they made a huge deal in The Mandalorian that Mandalorians never take their helmets off, right? So it went like almost the full length, if not the entire full length, I think it was the end of the first season. And then he finally, because he had to, right? Literally had to take his helmet off. So he did. I think a lot of people were questioning, like, okay, fine, Master Chief's going to take his helmet off. That's fine. But like you said, you were kind of shocked. He took it off. You're like, he took it off in the first episode.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting about The Mandalorian, right? So I watched Book of Boba Fett, and then towards the end there in the season finale, Mandalorian's in it, but he never takes his helmet off. And I remember thinking, I bet he's not even really there. I bet that's just a stunt actor because he's busy doing
that's a great point.
Last of Us or whatever. And then it turns out, yep, that's 100% accurate. He was never actually on the set. So it doesn't really surprise me. I really just would have liked them to get some stunt actor, bring in Steve Downs to do the voice. I would have preferred that, but they wanted to have some kind of emotionality or whatever. I get that aspect.
Does it make y'all nervous for the Last of Us TV show by any chance?
It does.
No.
No, I mean, but I'm with you a bit. No, because listen,
I'll tell you why. I don't like all the
still shots we're seeing on Twitter. They're like, here's Pedro Pascal eating a sandwich in the Last of Us set. I'm like, why are we? I don't want to see this.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because how much is like per episode? I think you said 10 million is for Halo. How much is for Last of Us?
Wait. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm not worried. Now, again, if Last of Us comes out and it's complete nonsense, I'll drag it through the mud like I'm about to with the Halo. I'll give you my take on Halo here in a minute, but it's HBO. HBO's behind this. Sony's behind this. Sony's an entertainment company too. TV shows, movies, HBO. This isn't HBO's first rodeo in adapting, pop culture into a TV show. So, based on what HBO's done previously, they don't knock it out of the park 100%, but they have a pretty damn good track record. I expect this show to be good. Now, again, if it's not, I'm going to obviously, criticize it like I am, with Master Chief.
Right, you would think Sony's more in tune to get this right than Halo, right? Because
I would
do.
Yeah, Sony does movies.
Yeah. And this is an HBO. I mean, they're partnering with HBO. We know HBO's pedigree too. So, but I'll say this: I watched 32 minutes of that show. I had to turn it off. I felt like I was watching, from a production standpoint, like something that like a 90s Power Rangers show. Like it's just the production values weren't good. Master Chief walked around like a robot. His assault rifle looked like fondant cake. It looked plastic. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, there were some okay, scenes like I guess the violence like Crap talked about, that was kind of interesting because you don't see that level of gore in the game.
Legs blown off and stuff. I was like, that's pretty cool.
But at the same time, it just looked generic. It looked like a generic sci-fi. It looked like, Battlestar Galactica. And I just, for me, it's like I love Halo. Halo was the reason why I bought an Xbox, and this is your iconic franchise. I had the same criticism for that stupid ass Mario movie that came out with Dennis Hopper, 30 years ago, which was terrible. Can't believe Nintendo co-signed that. But no, that was a terrible movie, terrible adaptation of a video game. But I just was not impressed
that they bring the level up, because there was some stuff that I noticed that was made during the pandemic era that is lower quality than it will be otherwise. And one of those things was the What If show on Disney Plus. Like the voice acting was really bad, almost like they were on sometimes like maybe the actors were over the phone or something.
Look,
just wasn't as
I don't
good.
know, crap. I maybe that's the case, but I have some issues too with the story. There's a human potentially leading the Covenant. Like, what is that about?
Some Halo fans will be pissed off about some of that stuff.
but why? But like, I mean, like, I think she's gonna be the arbiter. Like, I'm like, why? Like, why are we having that? And then for him to like take his helmet off, like I know people are like, oh, well, you know, the Halo fans would be upset. I mean, look at The Witcher. Look at the Witcher TV series on Netflix. It's solid.
It is.
It is solid.
I thought. See, by the way, in case anybody's not feeling that way,
I couldn't get through The Witcher.
You got to watch. Honestly, I know you don't want to hear this crap, but season 2 really nails it. I thought.
But I mean, look,
they talk about the Wild Hunt. They talk about
they reference the Wild Hunt series being chased as she is in Witcher 3. I mean, it's. You know, and people are like, oh, they have to, you know, they really can't use too much lore canon. They got to track. Well, The Witcher didn't do that. And The Witcher's doing very well. I mean, so I think for me, you know, and I'm seeing a lot of people kind of split on Halo, which is kind of interesting.
It seems split, doesn't it?
It does really seem split. But I'll see this. I just, it just didn't resonate with me. I thought, like, when I think of Halo, I think of this grand spectacle. And I got to be honest with you, I know people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. The Mandalorian took his helmet off. Why is it a big deal, Master Chief? I'll tell you what, Master Chief, because part of the mystique of Master Chief as a protagonist is that you never saw his face, right? Mm-hmm. Adds to that sense of mystery, that sense of mystique about him as a character. But Grubb says, you know, which is based on the books. So yeah, there's Halo books and there's lore there in Halo, by the way. There's some lore there. But there's books they could have used.
Well,
I mean, they had the games.
Was referenced
they had the games too to reference.
Yeah.
But for me, like, you know, showing, you know, Chief's face, why? Like to me, if you're gonna do that, an iconic character like that, and part of the mystique of Chief is his helmet. Do that in the game. Now they did do that in the game a little bit in Halo 4, but you don't see his entire face. It's only like a. You know, like his. Like,
I don't even care. Iron. Like, I kind of get why they did it, but why does it seem like he's gonna just have his helmet off a lot now? Like towards the end, there, like he just has his helmet off for the last like 5, 6, 7 minutes of the show, and I'm just like, okay, that's sort of weird.
Yeah, now they're
like that doesn't. He looks like he's cosplay or something. I don't know. I think doesn't look very good. Like, doesn't look like a very good guy.
Like,
I don't know.
He didn't like, to me. He didn't see, and I don't know what Master Chief would look like, right? Like, maybe it's Steve Downs. I don't know. But I just like, it just didn't resonate with me. I'm like, that's not Master Chief. That's just some guy. And you know,
well, shout out to T-Rock. He makes a point here too when we were doing the comparisons between the two. And I know King Hoff is in the chat. King Hoff was making a reference to something along the lines of, well, Mooch, you have to give Paramount time. HBO's been doing this for a long time. Paramount's been making movies for decades. T-Rock says Neil Druckmann is also, and this is what I was going to say, he's sitting like right there as the scripts and things are being written. Neil Druckmann is also involved with the development of the Last of Us series. Having the creator of the IP as part of the team gives me confidence. So T-Rock, I'm much more in that camp as well.
They had Kiki Wolfkill and some other 343 people there.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, that's good.
But again, 343.
Yeah,
I'm not a big 343
fan. Well, you know, Jeff
by
Grubb
the way.
comes in. He says Witcher is not an adaptation of the games, though. That's my point. Jeff, it may not, but they reference the game enough.
But but if you play the game, to Jeff's point, if you play the game, like when I was watching Witcher with my wife loves it. I'm explaining to her, I experienced this in the game.
Right, that's what I'm doing.
That's my point. And the game is
I'm only 80 hours into the game out of 365 needed to finish it. So just take that with a grain of salt.
I couldn't. I hope it gets better, but it was 32 minutes for me. I was like, I can't watch this. It wasn't good television for me.
Well, let me do this. Did anybody else watch the show that wants to kind of comment on it? BG, Blaze, Bit. Did you guys did you guys watch it?
Mm-mm.
Let me answer this question.
I didn't bother. I avoided that like the plague.
BG, if you're not going to watch it, why didn't it interest you? Just that lore isn't your bag, or?
I mean, I'll check it out. I'm going to check it out because I'm somebody who's like very open to like, I'll watch anything for at least 2 episodes, right? Even if people tell me it's really bad. I'm just not like, I've always liked Halo and I beat all the Halo games, but I've never found the story of Halo like this amazing thing like other people have. I'm like, it's a sci-fi, futuristic soldier. Yeah. I never found it to be that great like other people have.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in that same camp too.
I was always here for the multiplayer.
Yeah. Which I would say too. I think if this show came out, 10 years ago, maybe different. But I just, I don't know, man.
Well, that's an interesting
isn't.
point too. I mean, and again, I haven't seen it yet. I am going to check it out. I mean, why not, right? We get to check out the first 30 days if you have Game Pass Ultimate, which I do. You can watch the first 30 days, I believe, on Paramount Plus for free.
Yeah.
So I will check it out and give my opinion at another time. But I do want to get into something else real quick here. BG, I'm going to ask you this question because this is something you've been harping on PlayStation for a very long time. And I think before we get to the end of this generation, this is going to be something that we're going to see. We're going to see more multiplayer games on the PlayStation 5. I truly, truly believe that. So just this past week, and I know the reason I go to you is you've been quite critical, Haven Studios, led by one, there's a few, but led by Jade Raymond, was acquired by Sony Interactive. So 2 questions. First of all, what do you think of the acquired team, first of all? Second of all, now that you see that Bungie, I understand Bungie's not with the PlayStation, but they're under the Sony crown. Okay, they're in that family there. They're owned by Sony still. My question for you is do you start to see what's going on here? Is Haven possibly working on another type of MMO, massive game, and they have the leadership issue there? Now they've taken care of that by bringing in a Bungie for guidance. Do you see that? And then I believe it's Deviation Games that they also have making another multiplayer game with a lot of very, very high-ranking officials that have had tremendous pedigree in that world. So I guess I've asked you 3 questions there. First, Haven Studios, and then where do you see the future of multiplayer games on the PlayStation?
So with Haven, Jade Raymond, I still don't know what to think about her, because she's had to leave I think the last two or three studios or projects that she's been working on. Stuff just went wrong, and that could be coincidence. It could have something to do with her. Just not sure. And it kind of makes me suspicious because not necessarily the thing with her, but PlayStation apparently was so impressed by what Haven Studios has very early on and the concept of this game. They're like, we need to buy them now. I've never heard of PlayStation seeing something. Herman Holst and Jim Ryan seeing a game in an early concept and being like, this so fire, we need to buy you. Right. That's bizarre to me. So, and it's like, I would be more confident in the game if they were skeptical of it. Because I don't know if I trust their evaluation of a hit multiplayer game. I want PlayStation to take risk. Absolutely. I don't because I'm somebody who's for these 10 multiplayer live service games they want by 2026 or whenever they said. Mm-hmm. I'm all for it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I absolutely trust their evaluation when it comes to the multiplayer games. This game to me sounds like it's because they keep emphasizing the social aspect of the game. Yeah, it sounds like an MMO when you keep harping on social things and stuff.
That's how I'm reading it too.
Yeah, that sounds like MMO to me, and I'm not the biggest MMO type guy. I don't like Destiny and stuff like that. I'm more of the PvP type guy, not the PvE. So I'm glad they're doing it, but this specific game by Haven Studios might not be for me. But I'm interested to see how it turns out, and if this game isn't the hit that PlayStation expects it to be, since they're purchasing them, then my trust in their evaluation of multiplayer games is y'all might not exactly know what gamers want and what the the multiplayer pulse is.
So I like the way you're kind of attacking that then, BG. What you're basically saying is that what could be on the line here is their credibility of evaluating talent when it comes to multiplayer games and reading the audience the wrong way. The good thing that comes out of something like this possibly is they may have just picked up a tremendous amount of talent on the cheap.
Yeah, because there's really not that much of a risk buying early. I think honestly, because this was honestly like buying, building a studio from the ground up. If you buy a studio before they have anything, like when they've only existed less than a year, that's kind of building from the ground up, right. Which I'm completely fine with. So we'll see, and I look forward to whatever Deviation is working on. I think that's going to be more of a PvP type thing that I'm into.
Yeah, more of your traditional PvP that we're seeing, maybe like Call of Duty type of. I shouldn't use Call of Duty, but something in that nature.
It's going to be a variant of Call of Duty of some sorts.
That's what I'm thinking, Bit. Something of that nature, and it'll be on the PlayStation side exclusively, probably PlayStation PC. Pardon me.
What a good, like, very detailed story.
That would be nice. I think that's just kind of like the icing on the cake if they could do that. I'm hoping they can do that. Now I want to ask Blaze, can I ask you a question real quick? Blaze, what's your take when you see Haven Studios and these people kind of getting picked up by PlayStation? Is it just something that they can do on the cheap that you think is good? Or do you think that I don't even know. Is Blaze, you play predominantly multiplayer games or you play predominantly single player games? When I've had my conversations with Blaze, he's been playing basically only single player games. I see Blaze is on mute, so I'm not sure if he's there.
I don't think he's there.
We lost Blaze for the time being. But all right, then I'll switch over. I'm going to switch subjects then real quick. Unless Merc, do you have anything on Haven Studios? Crap.
Look, I mean, we don't know what they're working on, but like BG said, apparently PlayStation seemed to be impressed. But I'll wait to see what they have to show us to determine whether I'm excited or not.
Yeah.
I said this on my show as well. Again, whatever this is, they obviously are confident in it, and it should be something that we should look forward to at this point. Whether or not it delivers, again, it'll be determined, when we see it.
All right, so now this is going to be a conversation that really gets a lot of people pissed off, especially since majority of people, maybe even some people listening to the show right now, can't even get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. But there's news that won't stop circulating about a PS5 Pro that's already on the way. Now, listen, by the way, shock factor of this is at a 0% for me. I'm well aware that we were going to get mid-gen refreshes. I was also under the impression that possibly I thought these mid-gen refreshes would be coming later in the years to come because we would normally be getting it in 2003 or 23 or 24. But since people can't get their hands on these consoles and it's the middle of 22 almost, I wasn't expecting that. Bit, were you surprised by this news?
Again, I'm not surprised by the news. I am just a little shocked that we're talking about it now.
Why is it coming up now?
That's the only thing that's kind of shocking. And then you got dudes so all of a sudden, got the fake hype, like, I'm psyched for PS5 Pro. And I'm sitting there going, we haven't even touched the PS5 in general in terms of like fully embracing 100%. The power.
Yep.
And that's the other thing that's just annoying about the situation. Now, granted, I can see this generation lasting a hell of a lot longer just because the state of the world right now, that this gen could most certainly last longer. But even with that, it's like, again, it's pointless to really talk about a pro unit of any kind. And also, if we do get a pro unit, what does that say about the base model? Are we going to be getting like a new refined version of what we already have? And, they're going to start taking away basic shit. Huh?
You agree with me now, huh?
What?
On the pro models.
No.
What's your stance, Blaze?
I'm saying.
How can they listen? Pro models will come, but first supply and demand. So you can walk in and just buy it. Until that happens, there shouldn't be any pro models. You can't even supply. You can't find. Listen, I still haven't found the Series X or PS5 at Walmart. I still haven't.
Yeah.
Or at GameStop, unless it's in the bundle and you want to pay $800. It's ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you a question. So, Blaze, here was my thought on why a pro. My only reason why a pro may come out in 2020, end of 23 or early 24, is they utilize different components to give quality output that is more readily available.
Well, here's a wild part. They're already
by the way, and again,
out.
that's me literally shooting at the sky. I have no idea if that holds any water at all.
Yeah.
No, listen, when you see these games that we already need more power, with a lot of these games. I'm not saying beautiful games can't be made, but listen, like we want pros, but God, man, there's so many people that still say, man, Blaze, I wish I could just buy a PS5.
Yeah.
Man. I can't.
I hear the same thing.
Trying to get, so until that changes, it would be a slap in the face to the consumers.
I agree.
Hey, you're putting out a whole new model when you haven't even
weird.
applied your current model. It just don't make sense. But they will put them up for sure.
I just found it weird though, because especially after we saw what they did recently with the current PS5s. I don't know if you guys remember with the new models. They cut out on the the power, the heat solution.
Yeah, it looked like
just
50% of it was.
50% of the damn
copper.
The damn ship was cut. So again, now they're doing this. This is going around again. It's possible. It's most certainly possible. But even with everything going around, it's just I find it to be completely pointless. like
so
all the way around.
Shout out to Josh Ayers in the chat. He says, "Don't forget, Mooch. They're also saying as part of that rumor that they're also going to be coming out with a handheld. That I would call a false on.
Yeah, I don't know about no handheld.
I don't think Sony's coming out with a handheld. I don't think they want to get into that world ever again.
And also think about this too. If you come out with a Pro unit, that means you're going to have to come out with a revised standard version, right? So again, with them finally selling those little side plates for the consoles, I can already see them having a unit, right, and phasing out the unit that you probably already spent $50 or $60 on in terms of like those side plates for something that's just fucking borderline, no customization whatsoever, unless they recharge you for some shit like that, and you can take the side plates off of that one. I don't know, but that shit is just dumb. I just find it dumb.
Bro, this is what I said in RGT just 10 minutes ago with Big Cloud saying, I'm you can't like this PS5. It's a little flawed when it comes to customization because unless they're completely changing the center part with the black strip where the USB-C and USB-A is, like what are you gonna put? Like just what I mean? Like I just see like them having a special edition and they're just plates and you buy You buy like a God of War set of plates and you put them on, and that's your special edition. And that takes away from everything. I always said Xbox when it comes to special edition controllers or consoles. PlayStation has some fire ones. Don't get me wrong, but like we got to be real to the game, bro. I'm a Sony guy through and through, but Xbox really knows. They really go all out in terms of everything they do with their consoles and controllers. Now, granted, they might not have a lot of games, and maybe that's why they were doing that to make up for shit, but. The narrative has changed, man. Like, even look at people, Blaze, why you care about packaging? Like, look, I understand it's just cardboard, it's recycling at the end of the day, but bro, all that shit matters, bro.
It makes it special.
It's part of the experience. Absolutely. Right. No, so go ahead, Ben.
Custom sound effects would have been fire for the PS5. I'm just saying. I'm surprised we never got into that realm when we got custom sound effects.
Look, to chime in on something that Blaze said, right? Like, for example, he said, how would they come out with a PS5 Pro when people don't have the PS5?
Yeah.
Right? Which, you're right, that seems logical. But what did the pandemic teach us, right?
NVIDIA.
Yeah, you already read my mind.
NVIDIA.
What did NVIDIA do? You figure, NVIDIA just produced more cards so that the average gamer, can buy a card, right? No, you know what they did? They bought these high-priced cards. They made more high-priced, high-end cards. Why? Because the profit margin is higher. When you put out premium products, you make more money on the silicone that you're getting at the fab. Don't think for 1 second a PS5 Pro won't come and they don't care that you don't have a PS5.
And also,
they don't care about that.
What happened to that digital? I noticed that digital unit has been fucking pretty much long phased out at this point. Has anyone seen a digital PS5?
Of course not. There's more money to be made with the disc version.
I'm just saying that disc version. They got so much for that digital.
They don't care. They don't care about you getting a digital version.
Hey, don't expect one for the Pro. I'm just keeping that above with y'all right now.
They'll let you get a digital version when they're good and ready for you to get one.
Don't expect one for that damn Pro. That's all I gotta say. Don't expect one.
Facts.
It's gonna be all disc.
I got a question. Crap, what do you think? We talked for years back before. We were like, back at last generation, we were like, we desperately needed a Pro. We needed a mid-gen refresh, right? We needed that.
Yeah, we needed that.
This generation, let me ask you two questions. We just talked about the lack of materials, the lack of supply, right? So we already know the true answer is we probably don't need one. But do you really think we need a Pro in late 2023, early 24 from either company?
No, I think the funny thing is that Sony's still doing a lot of cross-gen stuff, even God of War's cross-gen.
Yep.
So basically you're saying when they finally stop cross-gen, they're going to come out with the real PlayStation 5 that's going to play, like, really smoke us. I think it's all nonsense.
I do too.
I think that
I agree.
I don't think that it doesn't make sense because they've already fallen behind where the PS4 was in sales. They're saying this stuff could last into 2024, and then all of a sudden you want to create another shortage by coming out with another version that people can't get.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. You're really just hampering yourself at that point. And not only that, but I haven't read anywhere or seen anything where the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X were hugely successful. Like, there's nobody ever come out and said that these consoles were hugely successful.
Mm-hmm.
So they might not even find it to be. And then Xbox's side, they came out with two versions already. So I don't know that it makes a
Right.
whole hell of a lot of sense to mess with that stuff, especially in 2023, 2024. I mean, I could see maybe slimmer versions or something, but that are cheaper to produce. But I don't think it makes sense to come out with more powerful versions, especially since most everything we've already got in the first 2 years is cross-gen anyway. So I don't know, I just feel like that rubs me a little bit the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, so so I don't buy it. No, I don't think so. I definitely wouldn't hold up and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to get a PS5 if I come across it because I'm just going to wait for the Pro." Like, you know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
You'd be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. Yeah.
Well, I got another question here for you guys. Crap, I will start with you on this one because I thought it was interesting. And again, I've said this, me and you've spoke about this week in and week out on this show. We've talked about it behind the scenes as well. So there's reports leaking out about Playground Games, and I believe it was a prior dev that worked for the team, and they interviewed him. And they were saying that the team was having, I'm using the word issues. I don't want to put that word out there like that was the word he used. But they are having some complications with creating an open world RPG because, let's be honest, they are an outstanding open world racing game developer. And my example I've always said is, just because you're a 5-star pastry chef doesn't mean that you're able to go and switch over to the dinner shift, okay? Just because you can make an unbelievable creme brulee or a cupcake doesn't mean you can feed 600 plates in New York City for dinner. So my point being is that, is this a situation right now why they're so early in development? Because, and shout out to Worry Ward, I actually watched the video he did on it. They're 2 years working on it with the team that they have now, but Fable was supposedly in the works up to almost 4 years ago, and all we've gotten is a CGI trailer so far. So do you think that this is something where Microsoft needs to step in and actually say, basically, what do you need resources-wise or personnel? Let us help you, because if you're not having that kind of help internally right now, we don't want to rush you, but it has been over 2 years, and I don't have a lot on the table. Where do you think that they're at right now, Crap?
Well, first of all, I've read multiple articles. First of all, they translated it to get some of that, which is always a little bit sketchy when you do that.
Yeah.
So the thing that I would say, looking at multiple articles now, was he worked there when they were just starting up, because he's been doing, he worked on both Hellblade 1 and now working on Hellblade 2. So he worked there briefly to design some combat systems early on, I guess, but then wanted to work on something that was going to be done quicker. But he designed the combat system already and did a lot of the research. Speaking with the publication in a recent interview, it says that the combat system provided by this guy's name is Juan Fernandez. He spent 3 years at Playground Games, but this was already years ago. And he says that his work on Fable 4, or the next Fable, included creating technical systems, writing documentation, doing competitive research, studying the characteristics of the best action RPGs that had come out in those years to find out what made them attractive, and analyzing the classic Fables to understand the essence of the game franchise and be able to maintain it. He also revealed that several prototypes were made at the time to test the combat tools and systems for a game, and he was all praised for Playground Games, saying that the developer has the mentality of achieving complex milestones with fewer resources. To further cement those ambitions, he explained that if Ubisoft needs 5,000, they only need 200 to do the same thing. He's also said that the scope of Fable 4 was on a massive scale, and he prefers to work on shorter projects, hence why he left Playground Games on good terms once his core combat systems were in place years ago. So he says from what he saw and experienced, Fable is going to be a super interesting IP, and that has incredible potential. It has a lot of talent working on it, which is why they hired a lot of people from Witcher, Batman Arkham, and a lot of things like that. It's hard saying what's it behind. When did they actually ramp up for this? There was a pandemic. They're a UK studio, so it's they no doubt are probably a little bit behind, but a lot of people were saying that this game wasn't going to launch till 2024 anyway, or thereabouts, which would be the 10-year or the 20-year anniversary of Fable to begin with. So I think that, I don't think Microsoft has to do anything. I think Playground Games has proven themselves to be a quality developer. They've got a lot of talent there. They've supposedly got over 200 people working on the game. I would expect to see something of it this year at E3, other than the little bit that we saw. But I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so worried about it.
I think not worried, Crap. I think you made a good point in your article that you read too. I just think that when it comes down to it, the reason I step back, and you've had these talks multiple times, is the reason I have a bit of concern when I see anything like this, or take that article and throw that right in the garbage, like you said, throw it right out, is that, you look at what's going on with Halo in 343, right? And you saw what happened with the last few Gears and the Coalition, and you could see the fan base just kind of dwindling down with two beloved titles. Fable's another beloved title for Xbox. And
I think that's why they're taking the time. You got to get it right.
But my question isn't the time. That was B. A is this the right team for this?
Well, I mean, I guess they saw something in them. They've
availability.
Excelled at the stuff
they wanted to do something different too. Remember, they said I don't want to make another Forza. That's basically what they in shorter terms. Yeah,
they have two teams. So I mean, comparing that, it's hard to really say because I actually, out of the studios that they bought, that's one of the highlights for me personally. I think they really picked up a good team, and if you look at a lot of the people they hired, I don't think they're having problems with Fable. I think that mostly just people are tired of waiting.
I wouldn't say problems, and I agree with you there. I wouldn't use the word problem. I would just say that they're kind of overstretching what they've done in the past, right?
It's my most anticipated.
Is not like creating a racer. It's a much different animal.
I mean, listen, I'm sure like when Guerrilla Games started making Horizon, it's a much different thing than making Killzone. So they probably struggled.
But it's a little bit. I mean, yes, you're right. You're 100% right. But Killzone had a story.
It's way different. It's way
But I think that people are probably going to be pleasantly surprised. I think they want to get it right, and there is that kind of thing where you have to please the old Fable fans, but you want to bring in new people as well. So the fact that he's saying, well, they had to do this and then see what other RPGs are doing right and wrong and then put that all together, I actually like that. I like the fact that he's like, well, we had to go back and play the old Fables and we had to,
absolutely. Go to the reference, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like what I'm hearing.
What makes you think? What makes you think? I mean, listen, we're talking about Halo, Microsoft's baby, their biggest franchise, right? All the manpower, all the money, everything that went into
whatever
Halo
you need,
Infinite,
right? Yeah,
and it still came out unfinished. Okay, delayed multiple times, going back to the drawing board. And listen, I think Playground Games, like you guys have reiterated, they're super talented. Seriously, like they're probably Xbox's top developers out there. They're super talented. I mean, really.
Great.
But what makes you think like if they can't get Halo right?
That's my concern.
And I'm not saying Halo in general is a bad game. Like the core mechanics of shooting is great. I'm just saying as a total package, if they can't get that right, it just scares me with Fable. Bringing back an existing IP like that.
And then like I want to reiterate what you said, Blaze, and kind of put my point like I was saying the crap. Now, everybody at whether you like 343 or not, a lot of 343 worked at Bungie before, right? So that pedigree came with them into Halo. This is a situation now where you have a very talented group in Playground Games, but the majority of them there have not done an RPG. And I mean, we've all played an RPG where you play an hour or two of it and you're like, this is terrible, right? Just because they just didn't have there's the customization, there's the crafting, there's the dialogue. Think about the three things I just said. Those are three things you don't do in racers. So, like, it doesn't mean that you can't develop and you can't program and you can't debug. You can do all those things and be an amazing developer, but if you don't have that team put together just right to make something like a Fable come through, that's where Blaze, I'm equally as concerned. You know what I mean? And the Coalition, same thing. Coalition was made up of a lot of people from Epic. Came over when Microsoft purchased the rights to Gears of War. And clearly, Gears of War 4 and 5 didn't do quite as well with the fan base or the casuals. 5 did seemingly a bit better, but not much, than the first 3. So that's what happens when you leave a bit of that. That's where I'm concerned. Bit, do you have anything? Because, I mean, Crap made a good point. Blaze made a good point. Bit or BG, anything on your front when you read something like this that, is when you have an outstanding group like Playground, but yet at the same time, they don't have any experience in this. It's kind of like Ted Lasso. He went from a championship NCAA football team to coaching one of the biggest soccer teams in England. He's a good coach, but not necessarily the same sport. You know what I mean? It's different X's and O's.
I mean, I would expect that they hired a whole bunch of RPG people. Like, you know, they poached, not in a bad way, but
right,
just poached some people who worked on you know, really good RPGs at experienced studios. I would expect they did that. If they did that to like lead this project, you know, and lean on those experienced people, then they should be fine. I don't know if they did. I would assume though.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we don't have I don't have the list in front of me, but I would assume that. Yeah, crap. And I think you were alluding that in that article you read. They probably went out and grabbed a lot of those people, right?
Yeah, they had hired some people from like The Witcher and things like that. So they have the people with the experience. Also, they're using a modified Forza engine, which uses the technology for like the seasons and the weather and all that kind of stuff. So I mean. The tech and everything should be there. It's just like getting everything else down to where like that's what really kind of I'm looking forward to. I want to see like the Fable game that we were always kind of promised. The seasons change and the grass grows and you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. And I think that's what we actually have the ability to see because the seasons change and all that kind of stuff in the Forza games and you know the sky and its dynamic weather. Like a Fable with dynamic weather, you kidding me? Yeah, that sounds great. So like I think you know comparing I would never compare anything to 343 like I think Playground's a superior developer. Like Halo plays okay, but you know we'll never know. Maybe somebody will write a book one day about what happened there, right? Like why kind of launched half finished or they don't have content ready to go right now. Who knows?
Right.
But, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, like, listen, I think Starfield's probably going to launch pretty well. You know, like I'm not going to say just because 343 fumbled that every other studio that Microsoft has is going to fumble because we know that's not going to be the case. I mean, if anything, we look at something, even though I wasn't a huge fan of Psychonauts 2, it was a good game and a lot of people loved it. And Microsoft helped that game become more than it was going to be because they funded it and they allowed there to be, you know, the boss fights and all that kind of stuff. So I really, truly think Microsoft is there to kind of help fund these things and finance and be what they need to be. And that's why I think that it's going to be okay. I think when it comes to Halo, they had a little bit more of a sterner situation, and maybe that's why it didn't work out right. I mean, it was the anniversary; they had to get this thing out. Like, who knows? Like, it obviously needs a ton of content and fixes.
Right.
But I don't say because Halo is screwed up right now that everything else is going to be screwed up too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't look at things like that. I think you know let these companies and studios live and die on their own merits. And I think Playground Games has done nothing to warrant people like freaking out or anything. So I'm willing to wait. I want to see some gameplay, man. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing what they have at E3 or what have you. I think we're due some gameplay. I think we're due some gameplay on a few different games, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And I hope we get to see that sooner rather than later. But do I think it's coming next year? Nope. I think probably 2024 is the release date.
I would say 2024 is a more realistic date. And Crap, don't get me wrong. I think somebody want to say something?
No, I was saying Crap was hoping for gameplay. Look at Starfield. Look at Hellblade. All we seen was pictures of Iceland for 5 years. You know what I mean? It's like they better get their act together. Well,
here's the thing, though. Bethesda is different than Microsoft in that Bethesda does
they never
don't
like.
Way.
You're right. They don't like showing gameplay early until it's ready to come out. You're right about Bethesda. Yes.
Yeah, like they're gonna show gameplay at the Bethesda showcase, and I mean. And then the game's going to come out in November, just like they did with a lot of their games. And it is what it is. Some people don't like that. I wish they would have showed gameplay earlier. Maybe they're going to have to figure out a way to do more than that one show. I think maybe at E3, Gamescom, XO, they're going to have to figure out how to break things up a little bit and to show people more games. And I think they're probably trying to figure out how to do that. But I also understand Bethesda's going to want to do things the way that they've done things that have been successful for them. And even that's what Jeff Grubb said on the show last week. He's like, they've been highly successful for it. They're going to show it at E3, and then 5-6 months later they're going to sell it. And they're going to.
And I do agree with Jeff what he said as well. I do believe if you go from the June
time, what would it do to show it now at this point anyway? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
No, not now. Absolutely, at this point, and that was my point last week. If they were going to show it last summer and then show it this summer. Yeah. At this point, wait till this summer. There's really nothing there to do at this point. Honestly, guys, I think everyone brought up some really good points. I do think that when it comes down to it, I'm really, really anxious to see something this upcoming. I think, honestly, I know we always say this, right? This will be like a joke that's been running for years. But this is really an E3 this is going to really mean a lot for Xbox, right? I mean, they have to start to show the games. It's no more CGI. It's no more Larry coming out on a unicycle. You know what I mean? Like, they have to actually have something to show everybody. People want to see gameplay. And, rightfully so at this point.
Mooch, when Xbox gets their shit together, when these developers start getting in stride, like, yeah, right now, Game Pass is not worth it. And I'm even saying it. But once the new Doom rolls around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once, I'm just saying, once the next Wolfenstein, all these, like, these are just like, there's so many games out there that they got. And once they're ready to go, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be game on for sure.
Well, and it's funny, Blaze, because you say that, and I do agree with you. And me and Crap have this discussion almost daily. So I do agree with you, and I agree with Crap on that. The only thing I'm saying, though, is when you look at, like, use those games that you were just saying, the last Wolfenstein game tanked. The last Doom didn't sell very well.
Well, it tanked because they wanted to do the Spice Girls edition of Wolfenstein. That's what happens when you do dumb shit like that.
Well, that may be the case, but I mean, I'm saying some of the games that came out, Fallout 76 didn't do very well. You see Ghostwire Tokyo not probably doing so well. So, I mean, it's easy to say, hey, look, we have this long list of IP, and once they get everything up and going, it's just going to be marvelous. If things were just that simple, this is stuff that people would have been doing years ago. When it comes down to it, they still have to make a hell of a product. And I know that, and I'm not preaching to anybody on the panel. I'm just saying that I'm always at a point right now where it's like we've all given great examples, but we have to see now how with Xbox's leadership, how do these games come out? And right now, myself personally, just seeing what's happened with the Coalition, what's happened with 343, does that mean, like what Crap said, I am not saying that means that's what's going to happen with Playground Games. Absolutely not. But when you do take a pedigree company like Playground Games, acquire them, and then hand them something they've never made before, it's an uphill climb for even an extremely talented developing team.
No, and you're right. And look, unless you're an Xbox fan, Xbox is on a prove it deal for the majority of other gamers. Like, they got to, what I mean by that is, look, until they can put out, I always say this, man, Xbox needs to put out a new IP that's successful, not mediocre, not just okay. I hate to go by that term, but like, seriously, like, they got to prove it. Like, look, we know Halo will be great, we know Forza will be great, and we know Gears will be great. It might not be in the heyday great, but it's still a great game.
It's still a great game. So yeah.
They got to prove it with the new IPs. They got to prove it. They just got to come with something new and special. And trust me, it might take a little bit, but people will start to get on board.
Well, I can't argue with you, Blaze, because, I mean, look at what's going on right now. You've got a situation where they've got 33 teams, right? Each of those 33 teams is responsible for multiple IP. So their chances of hitting that big stride went up quite a bit in the past, 24 to 36 months, So I agree with you. Now the question is, what are they going to make? What new IP will one of these big 33 teams, what's that one big bonanza, like Whopper, like almost like a Ghost of Tsushima, right? Ghost of Tsushima came out of nowhere, and it caught a lot of PlayStation fans by storm, and they love it. They love it. And you already know if 10 million bought the first one, it's only going to go up from there. So I think that's what Microsoft needs. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that new IP that's a wow factor. I'm hoping Starfield can be that. I'm a little bit more reserved on that front. I don't know if Starfield is that game that you're talking about, Blaze, that puts it on the map. Maybe it is. We'll find out this June.
But they're probably using the same old. Look, the point is, like, these Xbox says, well, Blaze, we got all these studios. Look, I say this all the time. Little cliche, but I'm gonna say it's quality over quantity. You can have 30 games, and guess what? 20 of them are just okay, and then you got 5 that are good, and then you got maybe one special out of. Like, these games need to be. I'm not saying 90s and shit like that. Like, that shit is stupid to me. I'm just saying, like, it's quality over quantity. Like, I'd rather listen, Mooch. They say, oh, you get one or listen. I'd rather have 1 or 2 games a year that are just special and memorable. Mooch, when I ask you this, when you look back at the Xbox One generation, can you name me a memorable game from that, please?
Xbox One?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll wait.
No, not one.
You can't.
No, there isn't any.
No.
When you look back at that generation, guys, you don't. There's
I can
really
name
nothing
some.
memorable.
Titanfall, Sunset Overdrive. I think those are pretty memorable.
Well, I was
games.
gonna say Sunset
Titanfall
Overdrive,
good.
but I don't think it made the impact that Blaze is talking
Yeah,
about. But
that's all I mean. Impactful, memorable. Yeah,
but
I
I'm
guess
with you, Crap. I
guess
love
if it
that
was
game,
memorable,
but
yeah.
I even like Quantum Break. But if I say Quantum Break, Blaze would have started laughing and left the show. So like I
would've.
you know, I mean, a lot of people don't. I liked it, but I understand. But when you say memorable, it's like the effect Spider-Man had on people, the effect God of War had on people when they rebooted it. Because let's be honest, if they did the same God of War, and I know a lot of people that are God of War fans, guys, don't throw tomatoes at me. But if they did God of War like they did, was the last one was God of War Ascensions, right? Am I right on that, or am I wrong? If they did a God of War 4 like the others, it wouldn't have been as big as the one that came out. You know,
it wouldn't have. Look, they had PSP games, they had 3 regular games, and they had Ascension. And Ascension wasn't received well. I'm telling you, this shit would have stopped getting a little bit repetitive and a little bit still. I'm telling you, like the third person over the shoulder, but that's the most impactful. Like that's how you immerse the player, bro. They see their surroundings. Like, what's the sense of having a first person game with customization if you can't even see it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to be able to be. I don't know.
I know. No, that's a good point. Great point. And honestly, I kept everybody here over the 2-hour mark. I want to say shout out to everybody. Guys, thank you for being here. Especially Blaze. See how Blaze, you came in after a 2-hour podcast, but Bit bounced. So we're going to give Bit, we got to go after
Big
Bit.
the trash bag. What do you expect, bro?
He just bounced. Let me go in reverse order here. Guys, outstanding panel. By the way, I do have a couple super chats that I didn't get to real quick. Shout out to Great Sir X-Man. He says, why Master Chief? Crap, he's got a great question for you. Sir X-Man says, why did Master Chief have a absolutely perfectly groomed beard? He was worried about that,
I don't know.
Right?
I have no idea.
That's a great question if he hasn't taken his helmet off in years. Shout out to Andy Hart. He says, this generation of consoles was meant to last 5 to 6 years. Developers need to step up, use the capability of the consoles available. Andy, I think this generation is going to go a solid 9 or 10 just because of availability issues.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, don't expect no short. This is not going to be a short run. And Andy Hart comes back again. He says Xbox should do live directs like Nintendo does Kirby, going to sell millions. You know, I think Xbox will eventually come out with their version of a direct or a state of play. I really
something
do.
That's not what the hell is that thing that they used to do?
Inside Xbox.
Yeah, they can't do that.
No.
Because that's not good.
Yeah, just have a voiceover and games. Voiceover, game. Done.
Or like I can remember early on, like they did, I think in 2014, they did an all-out E3, and then they did an all-out Gamescom, where there were completely different games shown. That's what they need to do.
I miss those days, dude.
Yeah, like, I mean, that was when it was awesome. They did really good job with that. So
do
I think they need to divide things up. But right now, I think most of all, focus on a lot of the gameplay for stuff they've already announced, because they've announced a bunch of stuff. But just show us some stuff to get people excited to know that it's real.
100%.
You know, because I would caution against announcing stuff too early, because then we get a situation like Everwild or, you know, like Perfect Dark, which hopefully, according to Grubb, sounds like it's in an okay place right now, but probably won't come out till 2024 as well. So, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm excited to see what they have, but I want to see lots of gameplay. You know, it's like I think
something.
Yeah, that's what we should be getting. You know, like the gameplay aspect. Like, look, Contraband, that got announced last year. Avalanche Software, you know, that's going to be, who knows? We don't even really know what it is, but supposedly it's supposed to come out sometime early next year.
Stalker 2 delayed too, you know.
I mean, that's not an Xbox game though. That's a multi-plat, but also they're going under a lot of issues over there in the Ukraine. So I can kind of understand that. Even if they hadn't delayed that, it would have been delayed because of what's going on. So I can kind of understand that. Also, I just want to say prayers to Optimus Code, because I saw an update today. Terrible. You know, so hopefully, you know, his family and everything just you know, God bless him. So that's pretty much what I'm going to leave everybody with.
No, so. I want to say also, shout out to Optimus Code and his family. That was, you know, something like that happens overnight. It's an absolute travesty. And I got to be really honest with you, just personally, I talked to him. Did I talk to him as much as everyone else? Not sure, but I talked to him a lot. And miss having Code around, man. He brought a sense of just reality from the developer standpoint, and actually just from a human standpoint, and told people how to sometimes just calm down, you know what I mean? Enjoy the game, relax. You work hard during the day. Come home and enjoy what video games are supposed to do, and that's supposed to bring you to another spot for relaxation and fantasy or whatever it is you like to do. So shout out to Code and his family, and I also want to do a shout out. I didn't get a chance to do it last week to Super Pod Shots, Kal-El. He passed away, and just over the holiday, Xbot 448, myself and him played a good number of hours of Halo together, and we were shooting the shit, and just goes to show you how short life is. And that man was nothing but positive. He's been on the show before, and just never got into the console war stuff. And even when the conversation went there, he went in a different direction to make things just to enjoy what we were doing, and that was gaming. So shout out to Kal-El. I hope he's in peace, and I hope his family's doing well. That one really bothered me, to be honest with you. Been just a couple months since we gamed, so shout out to him and his family as well. But let me go in reverse order here, and thank you everybody again for the super chats and commenting in the chat and the amazing panel that we had tonight. I'm going to go in reverse order and start with our boy Blaze 4K. Blaze, first time on the show, man. Certainly not going to be the last time. One of the hosts, if not the host of Solid Cast, buddy. Let people know where they can find you, and I really appreciate you doing back-to-back podcast tonight.
Yeah, bro. You know I had to do it for you. It was long overdue. You know, you're my paisan.
Appreciate that, brother. Absolutely. 100. And we were both going back and forth. 100%. And he goes, bullshit. I go, 100%. I go, are you? He goes, 100%. I'm like, bullshit. He's like, we're going back and forth.
Yeah, because we're dealing with the fakies out there. But no, it was good. I dropped you some souls for, hope
you did.
Some Elden.
Was that an Italian?
Yes.
Exchange?
Yeah.
Okay.
BG.
Come on, BG.
He's like,
I
what's
was
wrong?
speaking each other's language,
Hey, man.
He's like, what's wrong with you people?
Throwing it up.
No, but yeah, Solid Cast every other Wednesday at 9:00. Other than that, I appreciate everybody's time. Crap, nice to finally meet you, BG, Merc. What's up, and Brat? What's up?
Awesome, Blaze. Thank you, man. And then also BG, Broken Games HDR, host of the man himself and Weapon Wheel podcast. Honestly, BG, it's always great to have you on the show, man. It's just your takes. I don't know, for some reason I tend to just get along with your takes, man, but I love when someone starts at you on Twitter and you just go in. So it's always entertaining, man. Love the channel. Let people know where they can find you, and I'll probably be bothering you in a month or two to get you back on the show. Appreciate it tonight, BG.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate the invite. Always good to be on Weapon Wheel podcast. Sundays at 5:45. If you haven't checked it out, we aight. You should check it out.
Very entertaining, man. Love the show. Love the show, BG. Thanks for being here tonight. And then I got my buddy here, Merc305, who's probably got to go right from this podcast to something extremely important. Merc has got an unbelievable schedule. Merc, we got to get you on more often too, man, because
absolutely,
I really value your takes, man. Love what you're doing. Also on Twitch.tv, it's Merc305 Plays. So shout out to you and Twitch. People don't realize, man, it's difficult. I've been watching BG and a bunch of others, Brap, all going and gaming on YouTube. And here I am on Twitch, and it's like, you can get 300-400 people to a podcast. You're like, I'm going over to Twitch. You're lucky if you can get 30 people to show up. So I'm thinking,
they're not going.
They aren't going, BG. I might have to bring my talents back to YouTube. I don't know what's going on. But, Merc, honestly, great show tonight, buddy. Let people know where they can find you, and thanks for being here.
Hey, man, thank you for the invite. It's always great to be on the show. Man, shout out to everybody on the panel. And yeah, man, you can follow me on Twitch at Merc305 Plays and Merc305 on YouTube, man.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. And Brap, I hope you found that $10. But outstanding show tonight, buddy. Thanks for being here. Brap's we're also having a lot of fireside chats throughout the days as they go on. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast Wednesdays 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Brap, let people know where they can find you, and I really appreciate your time here as well tonight.
Yeah, no, Mooch, it was a play. It's great to be back, man. I missed being on last week.
I know, it was the same with I. Even Crap was like, where the hell's Brap?
Who's Aries?
Who's Aries? Who's Aries?
I love that. That was. Let me tell you something. That was so comical because I was in the game for over an hour. The whole time.
But I'm like, don't we already got 4 people in here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who the hell knows, man? I don't know.
That was funny, man. But no, Mooch, I'm glad I'm glad to be back this week, man. Great shows always. Great guest, by the way, as always.
Was great, yes.
Yeah, I mean, catch me on Brap every Wednesday night, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast on YouTube. And if you want to give me a follow on Twitter, it's brap_podcast. And look, I just need $10. That's it. That's all I need is $10. So
that's the difference between last generation and next generation. That's it. It's quite simple.
$10, man.
That's it. $10.
I mean, you
right?
know, maybe I should go to Starbucks less. I know maybe
that would help. I ain't gonna lie. That would help.
Yeah.
Let me get the great Crap Gamer in here. Crap, outstanding tonight. Love the takes, love the opinions, and just an outstanding show, buddy. Let everyone know where they can find you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Crap Gamer reviews. You know what's funny, Mooch, is like, you know, I'm waiting for Starlink, right? So they haven't installed it or anything like that. It's got delayed.
Yeah, when's that coming?
They already raised the price of the service and the installation kit, right? So it's like they're like due to
what the hell?
Like due to inflation, we gotta raise the price of it and blah blah blah. And I'm like, damn it, I don't even have this stuff yet, and they're already raising the prices on me. Jesus, man, I just want to be able to stream and upload stuff that doesn't take 3 hours.
Did they give you a date?
By $10?
Do you have a date yet, Crap, on that?
No, just sometime this year, they say.
Yeah. I
guess where do you live, man?
Better than last year.
I live in the horse capital of the world, man.
There you go.
Oh, so that means I need to come down there.
I was just gonna say
it's there's a lot of horses around here, you know.
He's trying to get a line run out there. It's all he's trying to do. Crap, it's better than last year. That's all I can say. It's better than last year's prognosis. Last year was real bad. So at least it's this year. So 2022 is the year of hope. Guys, great show. Please, guys, hit the like button on the way out. Please hit the subscribe button on the way out as well. It's 2 clicks. It takes like 5 calories, maybe 2 calories. But we'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And please do go over to twitch.tv, Mooch TV, drop the O's for zeros. And we're going to be over there on Saturday doing Elden Ring. Sunday, probably either doing Tiny Tina's Wonderland or more Elden Ring. It'll be one or the other, but we're going to be doing a lot of streaming this weekend. So go over and check that out and follow me over there. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to the chat. And guys, enjoy your weekend. Peace out.
Have a good one.